Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome here live on this Saturday morning to a new edition, a brand new and live edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream, featuring me, Dave Lefkowitz, featuring my darling wife on the bells, on the noisemakers, Joyce, and featuring all of you who tune in every week to see what.
Chernobyl too?
Well, actually, we could talk about that. Let's talk about it because I'll tell you what's going to be on the show. I'll tell you quickly what's on the show, and then we can yak about. Oh, I don't know what's going on in the world. World War III Part 1. Who knows? So, but as the world crumbles around us, we've got fun for you. Because yes, we have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, a really horrible, disgusting, terrible limerick poem about a place in Colorado. I've written a new one of those. I'll share it with you. Blah blah blah. Okay, you love it. Yesterday, trivia quiz, where every week we do 10 trivia questions of things that happened on this day in history. This day being March 5th. So right now we're in 2022. Lots of things happened on March 5th in world history. We have 10 questions sort of based on those, and we'll have our great panel whom you can play with and against, or however you want to play it.
Play with them,
That's why we have a restraining order. But now, among the people playing the quiz are going to be, of course, Leslie Hoban Blake, theater critic and co-host of Critics Circle, the video podcast on YouTube. Also, David Sheward, who is a theater critic for TheaterLife.com and CulturalDaily.com, and playing alongside them after his interview is going to be our new friend of the Daverhood, our very special guest, an author and a musician. And this works out fantastically both ways, because as a musician, he's played jazz, he's played klezmer music. Guess who's going to be interviewing him? And has played for the likes of Joel Gray and Itzhak Perlman and one of the major klezmer outfits that is out there. So Gary Bohan Jr., great, cool musicians are always fun to have on the show. He's going to be with us. But the reason we're having him specifically this week is his book is out. I gotta be careful. I gotta grab it here. Gary has written a book about what I believe is his great-grandfather, not his grandfather. Now, this was not his grandfather's name, Sharkey. Great name for a guy from like the 1920s or 30s and stuff. But no. This book is about one of the lesser-known, I won't say less remembered, but more beloved and yet somehow dormant aspects of show business, unless you go to SeaWorld or places like that. But back in the day, if you can believe it, trained seals, trained seals were an important, albeit minor part of of showbiz. From the Ed Sullivan Show.
One of the reviews on Amazon said, "What better embodies vaudeville than a trained seal doing something?"
This is a trained seal doing something. And by the way, this one's the seal. But here's the deal. It was a big business. It was a big deal. And this particular one, this book is about Sharkey, the most beloved of the trained seals. He was a runt of the litter, apparently, and yet he became the most popular. He's an aquatic mammal. He's a mammal. Are they mammals? What are they?
They have live birth?
I don't know.
They
don't do egg.
Birth, they have live birth.
Aquatic mammals.
I think they're sea cows.
With the best timing, the best reaction. Gary Bohan is going to tell you all about it, because his grandfather trained Sharkey and a whole bunches of other seals, including, and my favorite story in the book so far, has to do with this guy saving a Broadway show. You got to hear the story. Gary Bohan is going to tell it. He's going to talk about his book, Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business, 1907 to 1958. So something must have happened in that year when, I don't know, I guess 1958, what would have, they brought a seal maybe on What's My Line and asked it all sorts of questions, and it didn't work out, and then reputation plummeted. Maybe McCarthy. That could have happened too. Could have been, he is a black seal, could have been blacklisted. We're going to find out.
This is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Did they have a water tank where they kept them? How did they keep them when
They
weren't performing?
They must have, or they just must have kept them wet. They don't have to be, I guess, necessarily submerged.
Don't they have to swim?
I guess they like to swim. I imagine you can keep them in a bathtub. Just wet enough. I don't know. For the time that they're.
When you check in the hotel, when you say I'd like a room with a tub for my seal.
Back in vaudeville days, what did lion tamers do? Well, I don't know if they
lions didn't need water.
No, but they would have needed other things. It's like do you have a room that's specially set aside with raw meat. I mean, different animals have different needs. Somehow they did it. I'm sure Gary Sharkey, Gary Bohan will tell us all about that, because that is a question. Like, if you're bringing a seal to be live on Broadway, it's a little different from Bill Berloni bringing a dog on. And it's like, okay, Sandy, you go on stage.
Like, seals are different. Like, they used to have, like, at Coney Island, the diving donkey or whatever.
Yes.
Like, they had all those animals. Now PETA would not allow it.
Well, no, that may be why in 1958. Yeah. And suddenly they went from being actors to coats. But we will find out as Gary Bohan Jr. talks to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sol Solomon later in the show, all about his book, Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business. So already, I've told you a couple of great things that are going to be on the program, right? And what else? Oh, Greeley Crimes at All Times. This is where we go into the newspaper of Greeley, Colorado, where there are 2 weekly columns that are intentionally humorous, even though they're based on real things. One is a column about phone calls that come into the local police department, and the dispatcher takes them as public record, and people are like, this is happening in my neighborhood. It's weird. And they are weird. And they're noted down, and the funniest ones are put in the newspaper every week. Plus, Cop Log. Well, that is Cop Log. The other one is 100 Years Ago, where our friend of the Daverhood, Mike Peters, from the Greeley Tribune, will look at the newspapers back from 1922 and find the most weird, goofy, nostalgic-looking things that were in the paper 100 years ago, and go, yeah, I should reprint these just for fun. We mix them up. We call it Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and we do that every week right here on Dave's Gone By. So all that fun, all that delight coming at you on this episode of the show. Don't miss it. Stay with us. We're here from 9 until noon, as we are every Saturday, right here on this Facebook page. Yeah. Noonish. Ish noon. But yeah, I mean, what an interesting world. I mean, when you heard, okay, I mean, the Ukraine thing's been going on for 3 weeks now, but like just this week, you woke up, you put on the TV, and Russia was sending missiles into a nuclear facility. Didn't you? I mean, when I just put that on, I'm like, aren't we all going to die?
What I think is a lot. So I know a lot of people in Europe, obviously, right?
Like,
all parts of Europe. And other people have said, like, it takes me an hour and a half, 2 hours, this long to get to this part of Ukraine or this part of Russia. And people are scared. They're afraid this is going to, like, think about it. We're distant, although air and stuff is not distant. But there are people on that same landmass that are like, is this going to blow out into all of Europe and Asia and every, continent?
Now they're saying, whatever you want to believe, they're saying that they've secured the facility, and even though they were literally sending up things that were blowing up chunks of building, that the core, that the place where the goo is stored, is safe. That it's not going to, send up radium into the atmosphere to kill everybody within, 150-mile radius. I don't know the specs on this. When we took out Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. There was the instant flash that killed 250,000 people. How many people?
The cloud. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how the radius of post cloud. I'm sure it's huge. I mean, come on.
Yeah. No, I know.
I don't want to grow. I mean, if I could grow new organs, like if someone said to me to go specific new organs, I go there. But if they say you're going to grow like a third eye or maybe extra fingers, that I don't want. Or have lung stuff, no.
You just made me think, wouldn't it be amazing
Yeah.
if, like, 150 years from now, we know that radiation and stuff like that creates deformities and changes things and changes DNA and wouldn't it be amazing if we get to the point, maybe 200 years from now, where it's like they have a facility that's just glowing and stuff, and they know where to put you. So it's like, oh, do you need a new liver? Stand on this line, and you get zapped in a certain way, and then somebody else, I'll keep the penis I have, but if I can get like an 8-incher, this line, please stand here, and they literally target the nukes to change your DNA, or they could even get to the point maybe another 100 years from now, where I want to have a child, and I want this child to be musically talented, 5'11", hair that never goes bald, and also,
But I don't know
yeah.
if it has that.
Well, not yet. Maybe we don't know what we have and haven't harnessed yet in terms of nuclear and solar energy. Maybe we're just on the precipice, and right now it's just used for weapons, and it's just it's actually sometimes used for cancer research and things. Imagine that. If we do this with nuclear power, all the men will have 8-inch dicks.
Okay, but I would hope that there would be cures for other diseases before that would be the first.
Dicks come first.
No, I think there should be cures for diseases.
I think that'd be great. But no, this whole Ukraine thing, because it's so easy to have this knee-jerk response of like, we're not going to attend Veselka, or actually Veselka's probably Ukrainian, where the Russian tea room is hurting for diners over on West 50-something Street in New York. Russian tea room, which has been around for 80 years or something like that. A hoity-toity Russian restaurant serving blinis and chicken paprikash. And so I was there once, it was lying. But this idea evil Russia, they're doing this. We're not going to attend this guy's restaurant in the and I get it. I mean, who was going to any kind of Arab restaurant after 9/11, right? And it's sort of your little ridiculous, pointless protest that isn't even affecting what's really going on over there. And I feel like this because, Russia bad, Russia evil, Russia this. I was in Russia, okay, 20, 25 years ago, with a friend of mine, a couple of friends actually, and had a marvelous time. We were in St. Petersburg twice. We didn't go to Moscow, didn't go to any outlying stuff. And there were weird moments and things, but nothing really scary. The people were very nice and very open and very warm. I know that sounds incredibly counterintuitive as we talk about this. And it was an amazing place to be. Again, St. Petersburg, I know, is kind of different from Moscow. And now you hear they are evil. Like, nah, I was there. They're not quite. And I remember the weirdest part, because they're sending essentially 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds to fight and kill and, take over Ukraine and kill Ukrainians and do all. I remember one of the weirdest moments when we first came to St. Pete. It was like a first or second day. And I didn't speak English. My friend didn't speak English. We had friends who translated for us. They were living there for a while. They spoke pretty fluent Russian, so that helped a lot. But we're going along, and suddenly there's this troop of about 4 or maybe even 5 or 6 young guys from the military, right? And I swear to God, they still had peach fuzz on their faces. And they're walking around, and they're in uniform, and they've got these Kalashnikov rifles on their backs. They're walking around with guns that could kill us instantly. And you know me, I'm terrified. I'm like, let's just get the fuck out of here.
When you were in Argentina and your bag rang in tower and they came over with that the military guy came over and he had the huge gun, you were like, what? It's my library book. You were yelling at him, so you weren't afraid then.
Really?
Yes, he came over in full military gear. He had the
yeah.
And he's like,
I don't remember that at
and
all.
you're like, it's just my library book. It rings when I go to stores. And I'm like,
which it was.
Yeah, but I was scared we were going to get,
Oh, well, but when I was scared.
Did you call the embassy?
Yeah, and Argentina was later than Russia. Russia was my first trip out of the country anyway. I can go to London first. I can go to Paris first. I can go to Montenegro. No, I went to friggin' like Prague in at that point Czechoslovakia, now Czech Republic, and then St. Petersburg, Russia. And we're standing with these guys, and our translators is yakking, and they're just young kids. They're curious about Americans. They don't see them at that point. It was only 2 years after Glasnost. There wasn't tons of Americans.
Image, so
yeah.
Because I study aging, it was a young soldier in his 20s, Russian soldier, sitting on the ground crying because a bunch of my people, older people, were yelling at him. Ukrainians were yelling at him and telling him, what you're doing is wrong. And he deferred to age. So he's sitting on the ground with the whole military thing and the gun crying because.
And he's killing his own people in a way.
Exactly. And they're saying what you're doing, and so he deferred to age. So these older people have no power. They have no weapons. They have no, they have nothing. They're just like his grandma or his aunt or his mom, and they're telling him like, how can you do this? They're berating him, not cursing him, but saying to him like, what you're saying, and he's crying. I thought it was.
Well, and I get that because like a 15-year-old can have a growth spurt and still be yelled at by his parents, and then he could take his parents out with one punch, but it's like, help me, But the thing was that what I'm making it sound like there was some incident with these guys. No, they were just walking around. They saw Americans. They're like, oh, hello, what is medical? And I was like,
do you remember how they were so like ethnicist or racist? Well, not racist. I mean, they were. When we were in Argentina, they were like, speak English, don't speak Spanish, because they wanted to have the illusion of this Anglophilic.
Well, as it the first thing everybody warned, the Russians warned us when we were in Russia.
Speak English?
It wasn't that. No, they wanted they. You think the ruble is bad now, 100 to the dollar? It was 450 rubles to the dollar when we went to Russia.
We could have bought prime real estate.
Could have bought anything. People did. And that's how they became oligarchs and stuff. But it was like, don't trust the gypsies. Keep your stuff. Don't watch out for the gypsies.
I mean, why do people hate gypsies?
Well, because they're known to steal and leave.
It's so much like, the gypsies are the gypsies because of the historical past. I think it's so, and I'm sure many people have gypsy origin, and they don't acknowledge it.
Yeah. No, I mean, why do people hate Jews? Why do people? Well, I know why people hate Jews. Look at me. But why do people hate anything? There's a kernel of truth in the racism, but 90% of it is ridiculous. But it foments someone that you can feel better, that you can feel superior to. So it's like don't trust gypsy. But in terms of trusting the Russians, and I wasn't in Ukraine. I'm sorry, what?
Romani or gypsy? What do they call them? Romani or?
I'm sure in there they said Romani in Cyrillic or in Russian, and then it was translated to us. But
I'm sure they said that about other groups too.
Even those young soldiers, they were kids. They were sweet, and these are the people. Now they're 30 something, of course, so 40 something, but their equivalent is now what is going into Ukraine and taking out buildings, taking out people, doing what they're told. Because they're soldiers, and Russia's going to win this. They may lose, like in Afghanistan, they may lose the war, or the long war. They're going to win the short one, and they're going to do a lot of damage while doing it. And it's just this thing of, I feel for Ukraine. I'm absolutely astonished and amazed that Ukraine has a Jewish president. Yeah. I mean, how did that happen? We couldn't get Jews out of Russia for...
What happens?
Yeah.
It's like when the country prior swings one way, then it swings the next, right? So it's like, if we don't like A, then we go for B. Next time we go for C. It's like the way people vote.
But he's going to be Time Magazine's Man of the Year. He's going to probably win.
What does it matter? For me, like, if I had a country, I wouldn't care about famous. I'd care about making my people survive, right?
Well, he's heroic in the sense that he hasn't given up, that he's, hiding and hasn't been assassinated yet.
I mean, protect your people.
You can, how do you protect your people against friggin' Russia?
I don't know. I would assume you get big friends.
Yeah. And the great thing is, and I love how things tie when I do this program and we talk and it goes to one subject and morphs to another and then back. One of the great clips on YouTube is this president of Ukraine, Zelensky, who, before he was a president,
Oh no.
he was a comedian.
Oh.
He was on Dancing with the. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
Did you see the piano?
No, I did not.
He did a classic bit. The bit has been done before, but where they have guys standing in front of the piano, you can't see below their waists, and their arms are here, and they're comedically making believe that they're playing the piano with their genitals. And this is the president of Russia. I'm sorry, of Ukraine.
Maybe that's what
Putin wouldn't do that. Putin would make believe he was on a construction site and using it as a hammer. It's like, pong, pong, pong. So my heart goes out for Ukraine, and I honestly feel bad for the people of Russia. This is one of those actual instances where I wish people would say it isn't the Russians, it's Putin, right? And at the same time, it's funny because I'm always making fun of people who say, whoa, no, we love Israel, right? We love Jews. We're not anti-Semitic. Jews are fine, they're great, etc. No, we just hate when he was in power, Bibi Netanyahu, right? We hate the Israeli government. We hate what they're doing, and I would always say, very thin line, right? Because I'm a strong Zionist. So I'd be like, oh yeah, you really, you only hate the Israeli government, and you think, no. But in this particular case, I'll go on record and say it's the head guy who's just a little bit, and it's funny, if this happened 30, 40 years ago, we would have totally understood it. It was manifest destiny. He's probably thinking to himself, and probably feel that they've said this about him, that the worst time ever was when the Soviet Union stopped being what it was, and all these countries broke off, and what used to be this enormous, fantastic, expansive Russia was now Russia, and this country, and this country, and this democracy, and this is a this, and a republic, and this. And he's like, if he gets this, it's Hitler-esque, but it's also what the United States was doing every time we go further inland towards the West Coast. It's like, we're here. It makes sense that we go a little further. There's Indians there. Put them here. Oh, there's Mexicans there. We'll kill them. Okay, and we'll just expand this way. And now it's ours. And I won't be shocked if Putin's whole thing was, okay, we want Ukraine. Ukraine is Russia, right? Really, before this was happening, did you really know any difference between the two countries? If I told you something was happening in Kyiv, or somebody's like, you would think, well, that's Russia, right? It's Ukraine, it's Russia, it's Ukraine, it's Russia.
We have friends, so we have a friend, member Stephen from UNC, now he's in Texas.
Yeah.
But he's a historian of that region. He could provide, they provide on Twitter reading lists of the different kind of places and historical stuff. Stephen could.
Yeah. Well, the other thought is if he takes Ukraine, which he can, will he then go back into Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, all the stands, even Eminem Stan, which he's been eyeballing for a while now. Yeah. So the other thing, the one thing that I haven't heard about, and I'm surprised maybe they're suppressing it or not saying, is Russia and Moscow and that area must have a lot of Ukrainians and people of Ukrainian descent living in Russia, right? Whether they're being arrested, whether they're being watched the way Americans watched the Japanese during World War II, I don't know. But where's the terrorism? In other words, Russia is encroaching into the Ukraine, doing all this stuff. Where are the Russian Ukrainians who are watching this, have maybe family living in Ukraine, and saying, okay, we're going to find some Russian diplomats, dignitaries, police.
There are protests. I see on Twitter a lot of protests and stuff where
Right.
people are Russian in Russia protesting, but I think people are afraid that there'll be retribution.
Right. But there, if they have crazy.
You're not talking like the IRA.
Well, why not?
I don't know.
That's where is the Ukraine IRA that somehow figures out a way to blow up a Russian bank?
But some people, when they become part of another country, they lose their past affiliation. They might have self-hatred for their group.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe they feel like we're more kin with our country than our ethnicity. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, let's see, because in the mail this week, apropos of really nothing, but apropos of all this, a package came from Saginaw, Texas. You know, hitchhiked all the way from Saginaw to come to Long Island. So let's see if this, whatever this is in this box, feels about Texas very strongly and will always feel Texan, or if it immediately adopts the culture of New York and Long Island and just says, oh, no Texas at all. What could this be? The box came for us earlier this week. I waited till now to open it.
David, it's got to be a potato.
What? What can it be? What is it? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, maybe shaking out this way. Oh, it's whatever it is. It's in a bag of some sort. I wonder what it could be. Any guesses?
Tuna fish?
No.
Chicken?
Chicken? No. One more.
Centipede?
Let's see. I think it's got legs. Oh my God. Why am I always do it off camera. Let me show you on camera. The excitement that happens when into the Daverhood comes a new potato. Here it is. Oh my goodness. He's got a belly button. Look at that. Well, let's see. How is he? He's got kind of deep offset eyes. A bit of a faded ribbon, but not bad. He's got his special Spuds potato tag and his little flap, his tush flap. He's got, can you see that? He's got a bit of a hemorrhoid? But oh my goodness. Now, potato, you're from Texas. You just came from Texas. Are you a Texan or are you always already a New Yorker in spirit? Go fuck yourself. Oh, he's a New Yorker. He's from New York. It's like he's giving up Texas already. Yeah. I'm going to push somebody on a subway train right now. Potato, don't do that. That's not a good thing to do. Oh, I wanted to tell you, this is horrible. I love horrible stories. But this happened this week. And one of the reasons I wanted to tell you was there was this kid. He was at the dinner table, like a teenager.
Yeah.
He was at the dinner table, finishes dinner with the family, goes into the room. I think he was going to take a shower or something like that. Stepped on a live wire. Something connected to another thing, and circuit ran through him, and he was electrocuted.
Did he die?
Right? Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you know where that was?
Where?
Argentina. Maipu.
It was the Plaza. Where were we at the Plaza Hotel?
We when Joyce and I were in Argentina about 20 years ago. One of my favorite moments in the whole, and we saw theater and we saw dance and we ate at all these wonderful restaurants and went to tangotecas and watched people. I mean, we were just treated spectacularly in Argentina. But my favorite moment of all was finding a street that was M-A-I-P-U. M-A-I-P-U. Maipu. And of course, took a picture there. And I could always tell people, and I would, whether they wanted to hear me or not, saying, oh, look, I am standing on Maipu. Well, if you pick your nose up, you can smell Maipu. Maipu is everywhere. And it's just as many puns as I could possibly make on Maipu. So I feel bad, of course, for the kid who was shocked to death. But, it's very sad that Maipu was responsible for shocking this kid. No shit. Yeah, seriously. Anywho, it's 9:30 in the morning, Eastern Time, and you're watching the Dave's Gone By Facebookio podcastio programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, Joyce, my wonderful wife. We will have Gary Bohan Jr. on the program shortly, talking about his brand new, really fun book, Sharkey, and he'll be talking to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon. Yeah, I'm going to need to get some stuff for him before he goes on the air. That's important. And our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and our Today Yesterday quiz. And coming up right now, are you feeling like a criminal? Oh, well, I can get this started. Come on, Joyce.
I've been waiting.
little slight delay in the beginning of this. So, meanwhile, I'll remind you that every day that's gone by is a bit different and a bit the same. That's the fun of it. I can talk about all different things. Plus, we have some regular segments. If you want to know more, if you want to hear older episodes of the show, not to mention all the incredible guests that we've had over the years, and let me tell you, we have a couple of unbelievable guests lined up for March on this program. You know, Gary Bohan, yeah. And then I'm going to mention a couple of names and be like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, going to be on the show this month. I'll tell you later in the program. But you can hear all our older episodes at davesgoneby.com. For the first 16 years of the show, we were audio only. We were either a internet only broadcast or we were on terrestrial radio and college radio. And so there was no real visual to it. Now, obviously for about 4 years, we've been doing this Facebook show and loving it. So all of that, the video, the audio, it's at davesgoneby.com. Plus, you can find all our archives at archive.org. Archive.org is a nonprofit website dedicated to preserving entertainment and literature and the arts from, the past 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years, whatever they get their hands on. That's either permissioned or public domain. Archive.org.
I had to adjust the toilet paper because there was nothing left on the roll.
Yeah.
And this fell on me.
Oh, I did this week.
Yes.
This happened. Ladies and gentlemen, where I work, near where I work, I said, watch, careful. I sometimes go and get a bagel in this little strip mall area. And I go there about 2 or 3 times a week because that's fine. It starts my morning in a fun and happy way. And then one morning, I'm walking, coming out of the car, and I see this on the ground. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be some fun stuff. I'm thinking, what do I do with a sign? Now, most normal people, most intelligent normal people in a pandemic would not pick up a dirty sign off the road and just do anything with it. It's just, there's a sign on the road. Hopefully the garbage people will get it. Okay. No. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw this and I'm like, I need this, and I know exactly where I want to put it. So for the past week, I hung this in the bathroom. Yes, no dumping. Area under video surveillance. Violators will be. So really, not only can't you poop, but you can't rape in our bathroom here in the house. But Joyce just said this sign fell on her. So it may be time to retire our no dumping sign, or to dump our no dumping sign. I should probably put it on Craigslist, see if anybody wants it. Because aren't you tempted? We'll get to Greeley Crimes Old Times later. Aren't you tempted when you see like a street sign, like a stop sign, or one of those yellow school signs, and it's overturned, it's on the ground, they're obviously not using it anymore. So you just want to take it, and it's not really stealing because you're not doing vandalism to the sign. It's like, what can I do with this? Railroad crossing. Wouldn't you love to hang an actual railroad crossing sign, like between the kitchen and the living room or something? Maybe it's just me. Is it just me, hon? It's me. It's just me. What else can we do? You know what? Why don't we, because already we have our guest waiting here. So I'll put Greeley Crimes and Old Times a little bit later. And then why don't we just do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned? Let's do this early.
Isn't it? Greeley Crimes and Old Times?
Well, no, I've got literally 10 minutes and the guy's already here, which is wonderful. Thank you, Gary. So let's do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, which is, I will explain, has to do with living in Colorado for a bunch of years and realizing, hey, here's something that I should do. I should write a poem about all these different places in Colorado and name them, and for each place. Why is my iTunes is totally
weird.
God, I fucking hate iTunes. All right, here we go. Mazel tov. Colorado Limerick of the Damned. I'm like, huh. Some of these place names in Colorado are really easy to rhyme. Some are more difficult. That makes the challenge. Either way, I think, hey, this will be fun to create a poem every week. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll do a dozen, 2 dozen of these. Well, 170 something poems later, I am still writing and creating Colorado Limericks of the Damned. And today, this Saturday, March 5th, we're going to Foxfield, Colorado. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then we'll do a horrible, disgusting, evil poem about Foxfield, Colorado, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain, Colorado, Colorado.
Oh, Colorado, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. So here's the deal. Let's see, how bad is this one? We're going to.
Yeah, you don't want to lose the guest.
R, is it R-rated? Is it G-rated? Is it? This one is. Oh yeah.
Why don't
Yeah.
you hold it? Let's hold it.
No. If I hold it, then they'll definitely throw me on Facebook. But our Foxfield, Colorado, is a statutory town. So I guess you have to be 18 years old to get into it.
Oh, wow.
It's part of the Denver metro area. I've never been, we
What
probably
is it
drove
called?
through it.
What is it called?
Foxfield.
Oh, it sounds pretty.
Got about 750 people living there, but it's in that really near Centennial, Colorado, near Aurora. It's really kind of in the heart of things in that Denver metro area. Not really much else to tell about it. It's part of that suburban Denver, if you want to put it like that. So, what else can I tell you about Foxfield? This wretched poem, this Colorado Limerick of the Damned. If you pick up women in Foxfield, you'd better be wearing your pox shield. The unlucky souls who sampled their holes caught so much contagion their cocks peeled. If you want to complain about that, please send email to davesgoneby@aol.com, davesgoneby@aol.com. I try and read every piece of mail that I get. I don't necessarily have the time to respond. davesgoneby@aol.com, or you can always message me, leave me messages or just post right here on this Facebook page, Dave's Gone By. That was our Colorado Limerick of the Damned on Dave's Gone By. Oh no! Oh, I pulled down the volume. I'm sorry. Let's redo that one.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool.
Now we're talking.
I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, you're watching Dave's Gone By live on this Saturday, March 5th, 2020. We got our Today Yesterday quiz coming up. We've got our Greeley Crimes and Old Time segment coming up. But most importantly, right now, we have our guest ready and waiting in the Daverhood. He is the author of a very different kind of a book about the showbiz, about the vaudeville era, the early era of television, and it's sealed with a kiss. Notice we're calling this episode Seal of Approval. Get it, seal for Sharkey. We'll explain. Rabbi Sal Solomon is coming into the Daverhood as we speak on a wave of music that this guest will be very familiar with because it's klezmer. No? Hi, hi, hi. Hi, my friends. Oh boy, we give the seal of approval to this episode because joining us in the neighborhood. Remember to unmute your microphone when we want to talk to you there. But we have the author of a new book. It's an entertaining book, also a bit on the scholarly side, so it hits both boxes, if you will. And it's all about kind of a lesser known aspect of the showbiz, if you will. Would you believe that there was a period of time when it was a very big thing to have trained SEALs on talk shows, on the stage, on vaudeville, and even, in a wonderful story in here, on Broadway? Well, this man's great-grandfather was a trainer of SEALs and basically created this whole idea. He wasn't the first person to do it, but really made an industry out of training SEALs like this one, Sharkey, to be entertainers. Ladies and gentlemen, an entertainer indeed, because not only has this man, Gary Bohan Jr., written this book, he's also a musician himself and has played klezmer music with some really wonderful people. So would you please welcome to the neighborhood on this Shabbos, Gary Bohan Jr. Shalom!
Shalom. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome, and we are most delighted and thrilled to talk about your book. So the thing is, it's one of those things, because years ago on this program, we had the grandson of singer, songwriter Benny Bell. You know Benny Bell from Shaving Cream and all those novelty songs, and you don't know who that is?
No, actually, I do not.
Oh, well, there goes that anecdote. But the point was, it skipped a generation. It wasn't Benny Bell's son who wrote the book about his biography and told, oh, this is the guy who wrote Pincus the Peddler. This is the guy who wrote Shaving Cream. It was the grandson. You skipped like two generations.
Yes.
About your own family. How did this coalesce into actually writing this book about your family and SEALs?
Well, growing up, we as a family didn't really talk about SEALs and this whole lineage, if you can imagine that. And it was another podcaster actually that contacted me because he wanted to do a story about Sharkey. And I said, well, you really need to talk to my father, which he did. This goes back to 2015 because maybe it was brought up 2 or 3 times during my childhood. So I didn't have anything to really tell the guy. So he talks to my father, doesn't really go into anything. And then the podcast comes out about 3 months later. This is now November of 2015. And I listen to the podcast and my jaw drops. I'm thinking, how could I not know this?
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's good that your dad at least had the stories and because again, it's all about not even his dad, but his dad's dad that should be
true.
Talking. Yeah,
that's right. Although it's actually in part about his dad as well, because he got into the business. He was my great-grandfather's son-in-law. So my grandfather, do the math and it works out.
Math is useless. So let's get right to it. There's a fellow named Ewing, your great-grandpapa, was like suddenly got involved with SEALs. Talk to me.
And it was suddenly. He was a young man. He was 23 years old, wanted to become an electrician. So him and his 2 brothers are off to the city of Buffalo. They grew up in the outskirts of Buffalo, and on their way, they stopped by a friend. It was the uncle, their uncle's wife's brother. Some more math for you.
All right. Okay.
Right. So they stopped by his place, and he happened to be a SEAL trainer, a world-renowned.
Let me stop you right there. So that was already happening. People were already figuring out, a SEAL is cute and can do tricks. Do you know where that really, really, to start with Eskimos? I mean, who looked at a SEAL on the ice somewhere and said, if you put a ball on its nose, that's going to be fun.
Well,
thinks of that?
it largely started with this guy, my great-grandfather's uncle's wife's brother. So in the late 1800s, wouldn't you know it, just through serendipity, they stop by his house. He's looking for some assistance.
Yeah.
And my great-grandfather and two of his brothers say, why not?
Why not? Yes.
Why not? And wouldn't you know it, they take to it. They take to it real fast. And this fellow who got him into the business, he soon retires. They buy him out. And the next thing you know, they're traipsing all over the world.
Now, here's what I don't understand. Like, seals are incredibly cute, and they're slick, and they're adorable, right? Okay, they're fine. But, you know, one thing you're told is, oh, seals are also, they're not cuddly little, they bite you. They're horribly vicious animals. What makes certain people be able to go to a seal and go, here, play cards. Here, toot this horn. And other people like just swimming along and a seal bites their leg off.
No, it's true. And it's a good question because it's paramount to their training techniques. They bonded with the animals, and that's really was the first thing they did. Well, really the very first thing they did was they had to teach the seal, like you said, not to bite.
Yeah,
that was a thing.
Yeah,
that was a thing. So if you can imagine this, true, and I've got pictures of it, they would dress up in armor.
Wow.
And with it articulated at the elbows and the knees, and they'd let the seals hack at them.
Okay.
And then
what a way people earn a living. You know, the guy who does this, he sits at a desk all day and sends emails. What do you have to do tomorrow, Dave? Oh, I got to put on reticulated armor and have an animal bite me all morning. Oh boy, what a life I lead. Wow.
So as my great-grandfather said, once the seal figures out that biting the boss is harder than opening up a can of sardines, they stop. And so they did have to be tamed out of the wild.
What is the most complicated trick that you can teach a seal to do?
There was a couple complicated tricks. For me, I think in terms of Sharkey, who's the main character of my book,
he could type a novel. It's amazing.
He could just about. He had a lot of complicated tricks that he was able to do. Some of them were balancing. He had a music feature. There was my great-grandfather built a homemade instrument that had buzzer bells and taught Sharkey how to play music on the homemade instrument. But really, I think what the most complex thing Sharkey did was he was a comedian. And that was really his calling card. So he was able to oftentimes work on stage without my great-grandfather there being present. And he was, more often than not, I've got so many anecdotes and of him actually improvising. So he would not only, he had certain things he had to do that were part of the script. You talked about being on Broadway, and Sharkey was on Broadway.
That story, we have to tell that story. Let's tell the story now, because this is one of the funniest chat. Yes. Oh, he was much more talented than Ed McMahon. I'm much more talented. That's not saying much, but here's the thing.
Sharkey actually worked with Ed McMahon
on the Carson show.
No, actually, before Ed McMahon was Johnny Carson's sidekick, he was on this show called Super Circus.
All right, that's the one place a seal does make sense.
Yeah,
you have a show called Super Circus, but having a Broadway musical, right, written by two of the most important Broadway musical songwriters of their time and really of all time. Please, I know it's in the book. I know we want people to buy the book, Sharkey from SUNY Press. And it's a fantastic chapter. But if you can just summarize the setup of how Sharkey made it to Broadway, it's amazing.
It really is. And, it's, and I won't divulge any spoilers. In fact, as you know, that's how I start the book. I start the book telling you that Sharkey was minutes away from making history. He had made it to Broadway. Only the raising of a curtain separated him from his destiny. That's how I start off chapter 1. So the arc of the story isn't so much what, I tell the reader what, it's how. How does someone that just 2 years earlier was happily swimming in the coastal waters of the Pacific?
Drugs?
Well, drugs basically brought Sharkey low later on. Because no, actually, they taught one of the things they taught SEALs to do was smoke, and as soon as Sharkey went on the crack, it was downhill. He was doing crank. He was hanging with Richard Pryor. It was bad. But
But like my great grandfather said, Sharkey smoked. He did smoke, but he didn't smoke in bed.
Did he inhale?
did you ever look? That's an old joke. All right, no, but okay, but again, set us up. You've got two incredibly important Broadway songwriters who get news that their next show, and they're off 2 hits. They're like at the top of their game, and they're like, oh, by the way, this is what's going to happen in your next musical. Please.
Right. So and the 2 artists we're talking about are none other than Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart. Rodgers and Hart.
I've heard of them. Have you? Yeah,
Right.
yes, okay.
And they were, like you say, they were a Broadway hit factory.
Yeah.
And they were writing show after show. It wouldn't be uncommon for them to have multiple shows. In fact, the show that Sharkey did, when that show opened, they had another show running simultaneously, Too Many Girls, starring Desi Arnaz. That's the show that put Desi.
Hope he wasn't one of the girls. No,
Yeah, Desi Arnaz got his start on Broadway.
And he had a ball.
And in fact, later that year,
yeah.
Too Many Girls they made into a movie, and Desi Arnaz met someone named Lucille Ball.
There you go.
And the rest is history. So Desi Arnaz is on Broadway doing a Rodgers and Hart play.
Rodgers and Hart show, yeah.
And then Sharkey gets onto Broadway. And there's a lot of twists and turns if you've read the book. That when it sounds like you've got.
But give us a little forspice. That Rodgers and Hart were kind of ordered to incorporate a seal into their musical. They didn't want to do it. Am I right?
Well, not only did they not want to do it, they didn't know it was happening.
Oh, God.
So Sharkey was trained in upstate New York, in Kingston, New York. It's about 90 miles north of New York City. And right next to Kingston is Woodstock.
Okay.
The
Kemp's
real,
not too far. I love the area.
Right. So wouldn't you know it, a Woodstock playwright sees Sharkey performing at a small library fair. A couple of weeks later, this is story, you cannot make this up. A couple of weeks later, she gets the call from someone who's writing the book for this upcoming Rodgers and Hart play. This guy is he's getting busy, he's running into difficulties of his own. So this playwright, Gladys Hurlbut, gets the gig to write the book for the next Rodgers and Hart musical comedy. And she's just seen Sharkey. So she hits on this idea that she's going to add Sharkey to the show.
Right. I mean, there's this idea of, I guess a writer gets inspired, and also the writer knows, there's about 10, 15 minutes now in the second act I really don't have to worry about. You just put the seal on the stage, it does tricks, and then I just wrap everything up after a song or two.
Right, except that's not the way it really went down. Sharkey didn't do a whole bunch of tricks like you might think. She actually wrote him into the cast. So he had a part. He had a part to execute.
And it was Othello, so it was a really messed. No, I
and so she didn't really exactly tell anyone, and they all show up for rehearsals. And Lorenz Hart, as I point out in the book, Lorenz Hart is fuming, and he's also boozing. And it's one calamity after the next. It's really just a tragedy of errors. This poor show, and they've got the best people in stagecraft. I know this is a theater-based podcast, so Robert Alton is doing the choreography. Lucinda Ballard is doing the costume designs. Multiple Tony Award winner. Joe Melzener is doing the sets. I think he won a ton of Tonys. The Tonys when this play went on in 1940, the Tonys hadn't arrived yet. But so it's the best people in stagecraft. It's Rogers and Hart. The three principals are Jack Haley, who had just got done doing The Wizard of Oz as the Tin Man. Shirley Ross, just coming off a bunch of Hollywood films with Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. And Marta Eggert, operetta star from from Hungary. So it's a star-packed show, but it's one, the wheels are falling off every which way, and I won't go into exactly how. I'll save that for those reading the book. And it gets, and on a wing and a prayer, it gets to opening night.
Right. And I won't even say what happened, but it's a wonderful story, and go figure, just the way Broadway, you get the light snatched from the jaws of near tragedy, and then what was supposed to be like, how on earth are you going to put a seal into a Broadway musical, becomes in some ways the reason to see that Broadway music. I wish there were more seals in Broadway music. It would be very tough to put them in Cats.
Right.
Cats would be tough because they eat the seal. It would be a bloodbath because, fish and cats. But ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to the author of Sharkey, Gary Bohan Jr., When Sea Lions Were the Stars of Show Business, available from SUNY Press. Now, Gary, also, I just want to ask, though, tons of seals do tricks, right? They got this particular one. He was like the runt of the litter. He didn't even know why the guy sold it to him. What did Sharkey, what magic, what made him the Ethel Merman of seal actor people? But I can't believe I just said that. But you know what I mean.
Well, Sharkey, he was a jock. He was the class valedictorian. And he was a comedian. He was the class clown.
You say class valedictorian. Can you also explain the reference, because your grandpa set up a school, if you will?
He did. He set up a college. He set up which he called Seal College. So at the onset of the show, I heard you and your wife were talking about
Dave's wife.
Dave's wife. My apologies. Talking about where they in a pool or things of that sort. So this college had several pools. It had a main tank and it had two smaller tanks. And where these sea lion seals, that they were one and the same. Sharkey was really a California sea lion, but back in the day, they called them seals.
Got it. Okay. Because they are different creatures, believe it or not. They're not exactly the same. The flipper is a little different on a seal versus. At least I looked this up. I'm not wrong about this.
No, you're exactly right. It's the seals. The sea lions are more. They're better able to get around. And
by the way, how many times in your life have people told you the walrus and car joke? How many times have you? Why is the walrus like a gasket in the car? Because they both like a tight seal. How many people have told you that joke?
I've heard the Tupperware version, but yeah.
Well, yes, of course. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Yes. Continue. I don't even know what that but continue. Well, no, again, if you have a Broadway show, right, and you're putting a seal in it, is there a giant tank backstage and he goes in there and he comes out? What happened? I mean, what do you do with a seal when he's not on stage?
So a seal, sea lion seal, they can be out of water for a certain period of time.
Okay, for how long? Like,
I don't know exactly how long, but enough where Sharkey actually knew when to come on stage. So he could tell by the music when he was due.
That's fantastic. I love it.
So he would hang out backstage with the boys in the boys' dressing room. And without any prodding from his trainer, he would amble on over to the stage when his part was due, and then he'd go and do his scene.
And then he'd go back and he'd win at poker. It was amazing he could do it. No, there is one story also early in the book that made me kind of mad, because I'm wondering about how long a seal can be out of water. That in previews when the show was, or like the day before opening night, or whenever it was, he was stolen.
He was. There were tryouts, just like they are today. So before they went to Broadway, they had tryouts, first in New Haven, then they went to Boston. And Sharkey was kidnapped, seal napped.
Well, at least it wasn't squid napped. Yeah, a little comedy there.
And again, I'll save the details because it's really one of the craziest stories in the book, as you know.
It made me, because he literally, I won't tell, I'm not gonna give it away. We want people to buy the book, but he's really taken away from the theater. He's on city streets, and I have to wonder what the hell that does to the underside of a seal that's just kind of used to being on ice or water. I'm amazed he wasn't somehow physically damaged by the experiment.
And he wasn't.
It was fun. He was stolen. It was a stunt. It was a thing, but he was okay.
No, he was scampering through the streets of Boston,
right,
because his seal nappers lost control of him, and he escaped.
That's what happened. Yes, yeah.
And he ended up in a Harvard University dorm in a bathtub.
Well,
and that's where the cops found him.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, not only was he in a I mean, as long as we're giving away the story, somehow nobody else did this for him. He went into a bathtub and turned on his own water.
Oh my God.
That was one of his tricks, yes. He was able to draw himself a bath.
Could he mix a martini?
He probably could if he had a thing big enough. What a story of this.
Wow.
So,
He
let
was
me.
very talented, Sharkey.
It was amazing. I mean, did you ever, when you were gathering all this information, when you were learning about your family, when you were thinking about even writing this book, did it occur to you? I mean, have you gone with seal people and watched them train seals? Did you do some stuff with actual seals yourself, or is this all just research?
It was all just research. In fact, I knew so little about my family's heritage. I can remember just taking my kids to see a trained seal show. And the thought didn't even come into my mind that this is what my relatives had done.
Wow.
That's how divorced it was.
No,
from,
but once you started writing, did you think, oh, I should probably, wherever the hell they're doing, I should go to SeaWorld and talk to them and see what's involved, and maybe they'll let me, toss some fish or teach you, or even that? Do you just say no?
Yeah, I didn't do it. I thought of maybe going to the Boston Aquarium, but the what my great grandfather had these seals do is so unlike what seals typically do and what you might see a seal do at an aquarium or a theme park. So you've got Sharkey, for example. We already have mentioned that he's on the stage. He's not doing tricks. He's actually executing his part. And I went to the New York Public Library, got a hold of the finalized manuscript. So I had all the reviews, I had the manuscript, and I could see where Sharkey was improvising, him and Jack Haley.
This is so.
I'm looking at the script, and then I'm thinking, wait a minute, he wasn't supposed to do that.
And it was
So-
yeah. So, let me ask you, Gary Bohan Jr. Let me also ask you about this after the Broadway show. He's on, not Carson. He's on Sullivan, and he's on tons of TV shows. Just basically Sharkey or the whole school of them.
Just basically Sharkey. Yeah, he was the standout. In fact, when the Nielsen ratings came into play in the early 50s, there was, out of the top 10 shows on television, Sharkey had been on 6 of them.
Wow. And he wasn't even on CPO Sharkey, which was much
He
later.
was not.
He didn't even, no, that's,
So he had a huge television presence, and he also was big. He did a lot of theater work.
wait, what else did he do in the theater? What on earth else? What else could he possibly do in the theater? What show?
In the theater, he had a routine. So he had a routine
Yeah.
of, and there he would do some of what we would call tricks. And he'd play his musical instrument. He'd also clown around with the crowd.
Because I once saw a couple of otters doing Beckett's Endgame. It wasn't. It didn't. It was a great idea. But didn't have. But the book goes from 1907 to 1958. Is that the year he died, or why suddenly like? Because we don't really think about trained seals much, except in aquariums now. What was sort of the
Yeah, so the two dates, quite simply, 1907 is the year where my great grandfather and his two uncles stumbled upon the family friend and got into the business. That was 1907. And then 1958 was the year that Sharkey died.
Oh, okay. So it's really about the Sharkey era as opposed to just the trained seal era. Even though, yeah, I guess it went into the 60s and 70s where you would see, God, maybe we don't see them anymore because there aren't that many kinds of entertainment shows, or it's America's Got Human Talent, and they don't. I don't remember any stupid seal tricks on Letterman, which would have been kind of wonderful if he'd done that.
Yeah, I mean the 50s,
Yeah.
when television got big in the 50s, vaudeville was a big part of the early variety shows, huge part. So that's why you could have someone like Sharkey, who was at the top of his profession. That's why he was doing all the big shows: Sullivan, Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, Imogene Coca, people of that sort, and Steve Allen.
I'll share. Like, well, one of the nice things about the book is just full. A little hard to see, but full of photographs. Like every couple of pages, there's Sharkey with famous one. It was the Three Stooges. There they are. Literally, I said it, and there they are. The Three Stooges. I'm gonna hold that up a little bit closer. See, just and so many. Were these from the archives of your family, or did you have to go like getting permission to get these photographs from other sources, from the Times or wherever?
Yeah, that by the way, that last photograph was Lawrence Melchior, who was with the New York Metropolitan and the Danish Royal Opera.
Of course.
And he did a couple of weeks with Sharkey, of course.
Did any of them? I mean, some people I'm sure were like thrilled and adorable, and were any of them like just doing it for the paycheck and like, oh my God, my career was here, and now I'm second tier to a seal?
Well, of course the seals were doing it just for the fish.
That would make sense, yes. But I'm talking about the humans that they were, the famous people that they were with.
My grandfather,
Melchior, or any of them. Who?
Yeah, and to answer your previous question, in terms of where I got the pictures, there was from all sorts of different sources. I got a lot from my father. I got a lot from my uncle. But then I went to archivists. I went to sometimes I get lucky. I find a picture on eBay.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So once you buy the picture on eBay, you can't. I mean, the photographer's dead. I mean, who are you paying just for the photo, and you assume you can use it, or how does that?
Yeah, it depends. Copyright was different back then.
Mm.
So that's the first thing you have to look is whether or not it had a copyright notice. So if it was used as a press photo and didn't have a copyright notice, and it's before, I think, the year 1978 or something like that, it's considered public domain. Yeah. But some of them did. I got a great shot of one of the sea lions with Buster Crabbe, and it's a Paramount Pictures because they were working for Paramount at the time. One of the seals, and on the bottom is a little copyright notice, so I couldn't use that one. I tried to contact Paramount, but I didn't hear back. But anyway.
Well, would it have been I also wonder about this because SUNY Press is a university. Wouldn't they have taken that? Wouldn't there have been somewhere, or would have been? It was all on you to do everything, gather everything, get the permissions.
Yeah, the permissions.
There's an index. I mean, how did you get all the work done as opposed to the writing and the quote unquote fun part of the book?
Right. So the permissions was on me, and I did have to get some permissions. I used a couple of pictures, and a lot of people, when I would contact them, they would just give me the permission at gratis, which was really nice.
Yeah.
That happened a fair amount. And then others, it was a very small fee. And then there was a couple where it was a slightly larger fee, but nothing too prohibitive. But I'd say out of there's 54 pictures in the book, and I needed, I'm going to say I needed permission probably for about 15 of them.
Okay, well, that's not. How long, when you first said, you know what, this is not just going to be a story I'm going to tell my children. This is not just for me. I'm not just going to, I'm going to write a book from beginning to end. How long did this take you?
6 years.
Gewalt.
Yes.
If you known it would take 6, well, yeah, I think you would do it again. I think this is the story that you had to tell.
I would absolutely do it again. Yeah, I'm in a different phase now with the book. The book's coming out April 1st. So I'm in a different phase of the journey, if you will. And I try to calculate how much time, it was certainly thousands of hours I put into it.
Well, do you
But I loved every second.
Well, do you think you'll write another book about something else, or more about your family, or maybe, I don't know, trained walruses? That'd be, I don't know if they have them. Well, I actually, this is also a question that we're thinking about here that came from the gallery, if you will. Have you gotten any blowback in terms of, even though you're writing about history, have you gotten any PETA people or animal rights people fetching and saying, no, you're glorifying, you know, the use of animals in ways that they should not be used, and seals should, I mean, it's better than making them into coats, but not that much. Have you heard anything from people like that?
No, I haven't. Of course, the book has not come out yet.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Right.
But you know, that could very well be.
What would be your reply? Would you defend the way seals are treated? Would you say it was another time and they shouldn't have done it, but they did? What would be your defense, or just say, I'll go away?
My first comment to anyone making such a charge at the book would be, have you read the book? Because history is not always as black and white as people think, and especially this story, it's really a bunch of tapestries of gray. There's nothing, and in terms of any notion that the animals were mistreated is, I fully do away with that. My great grandfather and his 2 brothers, they were in love with these animals. They practically treated them better than humans. They built them their own facilities. The one Sharkey's predecessor, Charlie, had his own facility and his own personal butler. And
he had his own personal,
a caretaker, butler, that used to go on the road with them. And his job in life was to provide for his care and comfort. They would go to they had veterinarians, local veterinarians in my hometown that they would take the sea lions to. So
I know now, if I ever don't want to be a rabbi anymore, I know that I'm going to apply. I'm going to go on LinkedIn or Indeed and just get a job as a seal butler. What a life! And you know, any fish he doesn't leave over, I can fry up on a Friday. You know, and just have
there you go. But they both
herring. I'm totally. Before we bring in. Oh, actually, we are bringing in a moment or two people to play the Today Yesterday game with Dave, the history quiz that you were staying for, Gary. So, but quick question, but we haven't even talked about your music stuff. You play a cornet. And I sort of think I know what the fuck is a cornet?
I've never had it quite put to me like that.
Oh, you haven't.
It's very similar to a trumpet. It's the same range. It's the same fingering. The bell is a bit more conical, yeah. So it's a slightly softer, mellower sound, but it can still. You can still get a biting sound to it like a trumpet, but it's a little mellower than a trumpet, and it blends better. So, for example, in klezmer music, you often find a cornet because you're having to blend with clarinets and violins and accordions, and it was really the instrument, the period instrument of the era back in the day, and it does. I think it does blend.
And you
Blend better.
play klezmer music with it. Well, you know what, Dave may ask you a couple of quick questions about music too. So, but I have to go. I got to get back to services. I've been holding my congregation for like half an hour now. It's not nice, but it has been so nice talking with Gary Bohan Jr., the author of Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business. Not available yet. Having you on a little early, but April 1st, no fooling, April 1st, this goes on sale from SUNY Press, the university thing right there, is an Excelsior edition. Oh, get it, get several copies. What a wonderful holiday gift for the sea lion lover in your life. And this will be, usually I play klezmer music to come out of this, but this will be music to your ears. Stay right there, Gary. Stay right there. Dave will be here to do more of the Dave's Gone By show.
I'm gonna throw you peanuts. Is that Sharky?
That's not seal noises, by the way. That's actually Rabbi Sal farting in the other room. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still here with Dave's Gone By. It's about 10:15 in the morning Eastern time.
Dave
What?
Dave has his Playbill pajamas.
He does. Joining us in the Daverhood. First of all, welcome to David Sheward. He's a theater critic for TheaterLife.com and for CulturalDaily.com. Has a blog also called The David Desk. And David,
I believe he works with animals.
no, it works for theater critics. David Sheward, you are going to be talking with, well, hopefully Leslie Hoban Blake and Gary Bohan Jr., author of this book, Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business. And David is the kind of guy who would know this. Can you name the Rodgers and Hart musical?
It's not part of the quiz. Not part of the quiz.
It's not part of that starred Sharkey, the actual live trained seal.
Was it Oklahoma?
David, you're muted. Hold on.
Oh, got it. Sorry. Jumbo?
No.
That had an elephant.
You know, that's a great guess because that's Rodgers and Hart.
But that had an elephant.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. A sea lion. I Married a Witch?
That makes
Hey.
sense. No.
Dave, is this one of the trivia
Oh.
questions? Because I know the answer.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Their show was I Married an Angel.
This is the
Sorry
warm
about
up. This is the warm up.
Yeah. Or
But-
I Married a Walrus. Or
but,
I Am a Walrus.
Leslie.
What's it called? It was Gary. You of course know.
Oh, well, let me think a minute. Rodgers and Hart.
Let me see if
If they asked me, I could write a seal about the way you flap your flippers and eat eel.
It's like Sesame Street.
And the audience will know that I eat fish, and to kiss you would be my fondest wish. And I would not be a phony, da-da-da, when I won a Tony as best animal. Oh, okay. What's the show?
Higher and Higher.
Iron Higher?
You have
Oh, Higher and Higher. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Higher and Higher. Yeah, it was a Rodgers and Hart show that incorporated an actual seal into not just as a trick thing, but as a member of the cast.
Oh,
Sharkey actually recited whole passages of William Butler Yeats poetry. It was amazing. Yeah. But anywho, welcome, David. How was your week?
it was fine. Let me see what was going on. Not too much. I did. I have a review. I did see two shows last weekend: English and The Hang by Taylor Mack. And English was very good. It was very entertaining. It was about a bunch of Iranian students in Iran learning English. And The Hang, I thought, looked nice, and it was fun to look at, but very confusing.
Yeah. Well, I saw that. What was the Taylor Mack show he did on Broadway? That
Gary or a sequel to Titus Andronicus.
Oh, hated it. Hated it like crazy.
Well, I could see what he was doing. I got the intention, but you know, I heard the hang was like, oh, this is wonderful. It's the best thing that ever happened. And it's like, you know, it's interesting, but
But it was not well hung, is what you're saying. Welcome, Leslie.
Show them your shirt, honey.
Wait,
Your
Leslie,
seal.
be or not to be.
Invite her, David. Invite her to
How about an all seal Hamlet?
Thank you. What did I miss? What are you talking about?
An all seal Hamlet.
Oh, I heard that part. What came before that?
James Tyrone Jr. would star in it.
Wow.
Oh.
So Leslie, our guest in the Daverhood is Gary Bohan Jr., who's written an entire book about his great-grandfather training seals, including Sharkey, who appeared on Broadway.
Ethically
Oh
trained.
my goodness. Is that Tallulah Bankhead he's with?
Who's that actress, Gary?
It looks like Arlene
I
Dahl
do
or
not
Tallulah.
know.
No, it's not Tallulah Bankhead, but
Maybe it's Arlene Dahl.
maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything. I don't think the actress is anyone that was well known.
You mean Sharkey didn't make her a star?
No.
Gladys Schlepperman.
The unfortunate and unsung Gladys Schlepperman. Look at that. Wow.
Rabbi Saul was talking before about the seal smoking. There he is. He picked up the habit early.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
I've always loved seals. I've always wondered how people could keep a seal in the house. You have to put them in the bathtub, right?
well, yeah. And here's Abbott and Costello.
Tell Leslie that he had his
Oh my goodness. Anyway, hello. It's nice to meet you.
Good morning.
Down on the lower
Thank you.
left quadrant
Was
of
there
my,
ever-
of my Zoom. I'm
Thank
waving
you.
Was there
down
ever a sitcom with a seal as the like pet?
Well, not necessarily a sitcom, but Sharkey did quite a bit of television. There's a great routine he did with Imogene Coca that I talk about at length in the book. And Imogene was really television's first female superstar. You know, she got there a little bit before Lucille Ball, and so Sharkey went on. In fact, he was the special guest with Sid Caesar
Oh,
and Imogene Coca, and Imogene and Sharkey did a skit. The whole thing is hilarious, and
Is that
it's all.
I mean, can we go see that on YouTube? Not right now, but is that
It-
available? Is it
If you
streamed?
look hard enough, it is. Yes. Yeah.
did Sharkey ever work with Lucille Ball?
He did not. No.
She worked with chimps, but she was no fool. She didn't work with seals.
Well, Steele,
My father was her husband's dentist. She was married to King Donovan, Imogene Coca.
Oh,
okay. So he
And-
was, yeah.
So I would meet her occasionally, and
Really?
years later, she did an act with him at one of the clubs, the one that Woody Allen used to play at.
She did an act with her dentist.
She did an act with Sid Caesar when he tried to.
Oh, I thought it was a seal. All right, I'm lost.
And
I'm
she
so
was-
okay, yeah.
Sorry, I just got off on Imogene Coca. Forgive me. It's okay.
Okay, yeah.
She was just a kind, wonderful lady. I didn't know her from TV. I knew her as a kind, wonderful lady.
That's nice. Now, you are a kind, wonderful lady, Leslie Hoban Blake. You are a kind, wonderful lady, David Sheward. And
Yes, I am.
I'll say the same for you, Gary Bohan. We are here.
Very fishy.
It's the mustache that threw the rest of us off, David.
Let's play the game. This is a trivia game called Today Yesterday. We do it every week, and
Are we in a hurry?
We're always in a hurry. No, we're always in a
But
hurry.
I have one quick question for David and David. With the new rules, with the new the laxing of the rules. That's not a verb, but the letting go of the vaccination and mask rules.
Oh, I thought you were about
Will you continue to go to theater? I understand that the vaccination check will be in until the end of March, and then it's supposed to go. And I wondered how you both feel about that.
Oh, I'm still going to wear a mask and I'll still go.
Okay, even if they don't check people's vaccination.
Yeah, because yes,
status.
I'll
But
still wear a
then you
mask.
All right, I'm gonna try to go during March and see whatever I missed, but I don't know if I want to go at the other. I mean, I just was ready to go back and they took away the rules.
Well, do it before the end of March.
I have
because
to start
everybody will
Monday. I
still
know,
be-
it just
yeah.
happened. Yes, I know. Okay.
When I go,
Thank you. I
go-
just wanted to get your opinions on how you felt about it. That's all. I'm
I will-
sorry. I didn't
I-
mean to.
But are
you
they
know,
admitting
I'm
seals?
sorry.
Oh, well, yeah.
I
we
needed
bring
your
up
seal of approval. I
Oh,
needed your seal of approval, okay?
That's right there. Yeah, and oddly enough, they're admitting seals, but not crofts. So that's caused.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
Again.
Yeah. Let's tell the rules since Gary hasn't played the game before. It's a trivia game called Today, Yesterday. And it's real simple. It's just everybody gets a question. There's 3 rounds with each of you getting your own question, which is worth 2 points if you get it right. If you get it wrong, there's no penalty, but one of the other contestants gets to steal. Basically, that's it. And then there's a tiebreaker, which you'll need a little piece of paper and a pen or some kind of writing implement to do. No big deal. But Gary, since you are our guest today, our brand new friend of the Daverhood, can you kindly pick a number between 1 and 6 and tell us what it is?
2.
2. Gary squeezing out a number 2. So wait, where's my? we got that. Gary,
Watch out, Gary. You're in for a lot of that before the end of the.
like a lot of it. And let's see, Leslie Hoban Blake, if you wouldn't mind.
I will take my regular 6, please. Go ahead, make a joke out of that one.
And
I'll say 3.
3. David with a 3. And Leslie, it's because you have 6 appeal. That's why you say that.
Oh, I love you, David.
Thank you so much. Let me get rid of that.
Sorry, Joyce.
That's okay, Leslie. There's enough for David to go around.
More than enough. Oh, look at this. Gary, maybe it's beginner's luck, but we just rolled a 2. We have a digital dice rolling website thing that I click. So the die came up with your number. Would you like to go first, second, or third in the game?
I'll go first.
Wow!
Ballsy move, Gary.
I'm rolling again with a number 4. Doesn't count. Rolling again with a didn't count at all because it didn't roll. Number 5. Let's see what this one comes up as. Number 3. David Sheward. Would you rather go?
I'll be second.
David Sheward second. Leslie Hoban Blake bringing up the
And tell
tuchus.
your guests that he gets no points because
Yeah.
most people don't.
That's right.
I'll be one of those horses where they say, bringing up the rear. Oh, look, she's 2 laps ahead. Oh, look, she's through the gate. That's it. She wins.
That's it. And
That's the one.
My wife Joyce reminds me, Gary, one of the things about this, the game is ridiculous. Some of the trivia questions are actually legit. Some of them are like, you're almost guessing.
Obscure.
A lot of people get nothing. So don't feel bad if you get a goose
I'm
egg.
going to get a pencil and paper while you're talking because I forgot.
Dave, you're telling me the game is ridiculous. You're talking to an author, a biographer of a trained seal. So I'm okay.
Well, in that case, Sharkey will
Excuse me.
So, Gary, this first question goes to you. You chose to go first. So it's a trivia question, and it happens to be a multiple choice. Are you ready?
Did you tell him that the date had something to do with it, or
Oh,
we're not even saying that anymore?
I forgot. One thing that ties almost all of these questions together is that every single thing, every question is based on an event that happened March 5th in history. Today's March 5th, 2022. These all happen on March 5th. For example, your question was March 5th, 1616. Well, it was a tough day for Copernicus's publisher. His book, The Revolution, lands on the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, the church's list of books that Catholics were forbidden to read. That index lasted until 1966, when Pope Paul repealed it. Over the centuries, dozens of astronomers, philosophers, and other authors landed on the banned list. Among them, all of these folks, except who? A. Charles Darwin. B. Immanuel Kant. C. Victor Hugo. D. John Milton.
And Sharkey
One-
read all of them.
Sure, yeah.
David
He worked with several, yeah.
One more time, please.
Sure. Who of these was not on this list, this Index Librorum Prohibitorum from the Catholic Church? Was it A, Charles Darwin, B, Immanuel Kant, C, Victor Hugo, D, John Milton?
I'll go Victor Hugo, C.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, Gary, Hugo your way, but I'm afraid I have to go mine, and that is not the correct answer. He was, in fact, on the list. So we're going to roll the die, and we're going to see who perhaps gets to steal the question that came up. Number 5 didn't work. Roll again. Leslie Hoban Blake.
I'm gonna say that the one who was not on the list would be Milton with Paradise Lost. I think the church loved Paradise Lost. I could be wrong. I don't remember. It was too long ago for me to remember.
So is that your final answer?
Yeah, when you read the list, I thought all the others were against the teachings of the church, but Milton's Paradise Lost, it follows the fall of Satan. So
Here we go.
yeah, that's it. I was just pontificating. Go ahead.
Well, it's not Paradise, but unfortunately you lost. Leslie Hoban Blake, he's on the list, or he was. So David Sheward.
All right. All right. Now, okay, so it was between Darwin and Kant. And you probably put Kant in there just so you could say, you can't be right,
Yeah.
darling.
Yes.
Darwin is the obvious choice to have been on the list because he said, origin of species. And it wasn't God, it's nature. So I'll have to go with Kant. I can't go on.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
See, you underestimate me, Dave, because I would make a joke about a dripping wet cunt. But no, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dave's gone by. Oh!
Yeah, I'm so glad you didn't do that
Too
one.
early in the morning.
And guess what? I've
What?
stumped all of you guys. It was
Really,
kind of a trick question. The only person
Darwin.
who was
Really?
not on the
Interesting.
Catholic list
Was Darwin?
Yeah,
I guess they didn't bother.
right. Everybody assumed
I
he was on the
almost
list.
got kicked out of Lutheran school for my 8-year-old version of Darwin because our teacher was a minister. Don't ask. My dad was in the army, and we lived in a barracks, and there were no schools, and I wound up in a Lutheran school.
Okay.
It was the lesser of two evils. It was Catholic or Lutheran. My mother thought Lutheran would be better since she was raised a Catholic. Okay.
Leslie,
So all of that.
Yeah.
And my parents had told me at home, an 8-year-old's version of the origin of the species. And when we were doing Adam and Eve in the Bible storybook that I still own, I said, oh, well, that's a lovely story. But my mama said, and then I went, basically I said, we descended from apes. And the minister stood there like this over an 8-year-old child and said, oh, are you trying to tell me that we came from monkeys? And the class went into an uproar. And you can't imagine what the monkey girl things I got in the playground and whatnot.
Yeah.
is Jessica Lange going to do the movie version?
Only if she has a big enough hand.
It's actually a great classic childhood trauma story. Thank you.
Oh God, yes.
No, so I can see a little moment like that just staying with you and fucking you up for years.
Yes, it made me hate Lutherans, basically. That was funny,
Good to know.
No, I hope you're not a Lutheran, Gary. I hope I'm not hurting anyone's feelings here. David, I don't know about you.
Well, all right, let's get on to our next question, which goes directly to David Sheward.
Okay.
And let's see if somebody the big D. Let's see if you can get on the board with this multiple choice question. March 5th, 1770. 9 British soldiers opened fire on a hostile crowd of colonists, killing 5. Sorry?
I just said, go ahead.
John Adams defended the soldiers, getting 6 of them acquitted using logic, eloquence, and racial attacks on Crispus Attucks, who was the first person killed in this Boston massacre. Speaking of Boston, which of these is false about that fair city?
All right.
A, because Boston University has a bridge over a subway rail, it's the only place in the world where a plane can fly over a car, riding over a train, riding over a boat. B, you can go for a drink after work, but you gotta pay full price. Happy hour is illegal. C. Fig Newtons were named for the Boston suburb of Newton, Massachusetts. Or D. In 2006, 3 workers at the Bush's canning plant in Chestnut Hill, Tennessee, were killed when a storage tank of Boston baked beans burst. Only one of these is false.
Oh, okay. And one of these is false, huh? The plane and the car and the boat. That sounds real. Wait, so read number A again. Letter
Sure. A is because Boston University has a bridge over a subway line, it's the only place in the world where a plane can fly over a car, riding over a train, or riding over a boat. Or B, you can go for a drink after work, but you gotta pay full price. Happy hour is illegal.
And Fig Newtons and some people in Tennessee got killed by some beans.
Right.
All right, now so that A is very convoluted. And I'll bet it's not the only place in the world where a plane can fly over a car that flies over a boat. Is that what you're saying? It's the only place in the world where a plane flies over a car which can fly over a boat.
A plane flies over a subway, over a car, over a...
plane flies over...
A plane can fly over a car, riding over a train, riding over a boat. That's the way the question is written.
How can the train be over the boat? There's a plane, and then there's a bridge. So there's a bridge, there's a car on the bridge, and then the bridge is over a subway. But where does the boat come in? I can see the subway train being under the boat because the water would be over the boat. So I'll say A is false.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's also would be 2 A's in a row, but that's fine.
Well, I'm afraid that question took you for a ride, David Sheward.
Yeah.
It is possible. There's a plane, right? And then bridge, and then an elevated subway, and then, water under it.
Oh, the elevated subway is on the bridge?
No, there's a bridge over the...
There's a bridge, but where's the boat? Where's the water?
Water. The boat is the lowest thing. You can probably get a submarine under the boat. If you really, and then seals.
You have to visualize it, David.
I won't belabor it. Go ahead.
Well, there's Google. There's pictures.
Right.
You can actually see.
Go ahead.
Anywho, we get a steal opportunity from one of our other players. Let's roll the die. Number 1. Number
Use the catch-up game dice?
3. Oh, actually, that'd be cool. I could. Gary, you can get on the board because you can steal this question. What is your choice?
So the one that's not true, that's what I'm going for.
You're looking for the one that is not true, correct?
Yeah, the Fig Newton. I forget what letter it is, but
Letter C. Fig Newtons were named for the Boston suburb of Newton, Massachusetts.
yeah, that's my answer. Not true.
Well, I'm afraid that was a figment of your imagination. It is true. Fig Newtons were actually named for Newton, Massachusetts. Leslie Hoban Blake, let's get you on the board. Let's get you some points.
I mean, Isaac Newton didn't invent the Fig Newton after he dropped the apple? He didn't do that, huh?
Well, if he dropped a fig, it would make sense, but no. Okay.
I always, yeah, well, he
Go
ran out of
figure.
apples.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I'm left with B is no happy hour and D is Bush's Boston baked beans.
Right.
First.
I don't want to sound racist
Okay.
or, well, it's not racist exactly, but I don't want to sound like I have a thing against Boston, and I don't, but I do believe that Boston University, I would be willing to bet that they invented happy hour there. Not that they don't have one, but that they invented it. And I'm basing it on the Saturday Night Live Boston sketches, not because I know much about Boston. I've been there, a lovely city. So I'm going to go with B. There is indeed a happy hour.
Is that your final answer?
Sure. Why not?
Well, ordinarily I would drink to that.
But since there's no happy hour.
Yeah, I've stumped you guys again. In 1984, Michael Dukakis signed a ban on happy hour because too many people were driving drunk after work and causing all these accidents. And it's still in place. You can go for a drink after work, but there can be no discounts. It can't be 2 for 1. It can't be ladies' night stuff. No.
Oh,
happy
I
hour.
see. Okay.
Yeah. And it is the false one, by the way, was D about the canning plant and all that. And that I completely made that up.
No.
Having your week off.
However, what did happen is that in 1919 in Boston, this is horrible, a storage tank of hot molasses burst, killing 21 people in the city. It just became like a flood of molten molasses, and then it like took weeks to clean up. So
Pancakes.
yeah, it was a sticky situation, you know. Oh!
Speaking of Fig Newtons, I used to love the commercial where the guy was dressed as a Fig Newton, and he would sing that jingle, and he would always say, "Hit it, Al."
I remember it.
I never saw that in my life. Where did you watch that?
Yeah.
It was just a television commercial,
How old were you?
like 8.
That's why I don't know what it was. That's why I don't know it. Okay.
Well, again, that's probably something fine. Well, one of the nice things about this program is as soon as Dave's Gone By ends, you've got 10 reasons to go Googling. It's like, seal appearing with. And,
Does Google give you a percentage of every time we go Google something?
No, I really
Is that your?
I really should. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should actually make that happen. What I am going to make happen is give this question to Leslie Blake and see if she can be the first person to get on the board in our Today Yesterday quiz for March 5th, 2022. Leslie, are you ready?
Sure.
And of course, I gotta love this question here. The year was 1805. Premiering tonight at a private party in the home of Prince Joseph Franz von Lefkowitz is Beethoven's Symphony No. 4 in B major, Opus 60. Which of the following is true about Prince Lefkowitz?
Oh, Lefkowitz?
Lefkowitz. Lobkowitz, or CZ, depending on the. Okay. A, he married a relative commoner and they had 3 children, none of whom lived past age 3.
Oh, my Lord.
B, Franz Joseph Haydn's final string quartets were commissioned by Lefkowitz. C, Franz Schubert's birthday cantata for Prince Lefkowitz was actually sung by Prince Lefkowitz. Or D,
As a seal.
the Palais Lefkowitz in Vienna is now an Apple store.
Oh, Lord.
One of these is true.
What was that last one again, David?
The Palais Lefkowitz in Vienna.
Palais
is now an
Lefkowitz.
Apple store.
Okay.
So one is true, the rest are false.
The rest are false.
All right.
Oh boy, oh boy. For this, I get up in the morning on Saturday. All right.
Yeah.
And where's our friend Vicky anyway?
Well, Vicky's our third when we don't have a third.
No, I know. I just wondered where she was. So he married a commoner and had 3 children, none of whom lived past a certain age. Haydn wrote for him, Schubert wrote for him, and he sang the Schubert. Or Lefkowitz is now an Apple store. Is that basically it?
That is absolutely it. Only one of them is
In a
true.
nutshell.
Yeah.
And one of them is false.
No, all three of them are false. One is true.
Oh, one is true. Oh, I'm on the,
Mhm.
it's too early. I have to get up is what I used to say. I see it's still true. Okay. One is true.
One is true. Yes.
Well, the Palais Lefkowitz would have had to have been rather small for a Palais to become an Apple store. I mean, that's just a corner of New York real estate in here. How big could an Apple store be? And this is Vienna, right?
Vienna, yes.
Can't imagine it being that big, but okay. Schubert, Haydn. I'm not sure if Schubert and Haydn were contemporaries or not. I'm not that good on this stuff. If he'd married a princess, would the children have lived?
Hard to know.
Just
Not enough
just
description.
the way my mind works. Never mind. And Beethoven debuted at his place. That was what you began with,
Yeah,
right?
well, today, 1805 is when.
So we have to have Beethoven, Haydn, and Schubert all being contemporaries for this to work. 1805. Well, I'm going to go with the most pedestrian one for some reason. I'm just going to say he married a commoner and the 3 children did not survive. Wait, which is true.
True.
Which
is true.
Which one is true?
Which is
one is
friggin' true. I got to remember which is true. Yeah, I'll say that's true. That the kids didn't live. Kids didn't live much in those days.
Well, I'm going to reverse that tragedy because that now untrue, nothing to do with the commoner, and no kids dying or anything like that. So we have a steal opportunity. Let's see who gets it. Roll the die. Nope, number 1.
Aren't you happy you came to this game, Gary? with
Usually
with
it's a lot of
the
fun.
giant brains here.
Well, Gary, it should be very happy he came to this game because you have a steal opportunity right now, Gary. I just rolled a number 2. So, which would you choose?
Could you give me the 3 remaining answers?
You betcha. Okay. Remaining are, one of these is true about Prince Lefkowitz. B, Franz Joseph Haydn's final string quartets were commissioned by Lefkowitz. C, Franz Schubert's birthday cantata for Prince Lefkowitz was actually sung by Prince Lefkowitz. Or D, the Palais Lefkowitz in Vienna is now an Apple store.
Well, it couldn't possibly be D, or maybe it could, right? It's so absurd. I think Schubert comes later. I think. Ah. I already guessed wrong with the Fig Newton.
We all guessed wrong.
So I'm not gonna make that same food mistake again. I'm going with the Apple Store. Final answer.
So the Palais Lefkowitz in Vienna is now an Apple store, is your final answer.
Yeah.
Oh, your answer was rotten to the core. That is not the correct answer. Leslie had it more, I guess, I didn't realize an Apple store was so small, but whatever.
Well,
David,
relatively.
you have a steal opportunity here.
Okay.
You get on the board.
What are the, okay, so it's Haydn and something else.
And
Go ahead.
And Schubert.
Read the whole thing.
Sure. B, Franz Joseph Haydn's final string quartets were commissioned by Lefkowitz, or C, Franz Schubert's birthday cantata for Prince Lefkowitz was actually sung by Prince Lefkowitz.
Oh, so Haydn was commissioned by Lefkowitz to do his final symphonies, or C, Schubert wrote a cantata for Lefkowitz's birthday and he sang it. Huh. Well, I kind of, and this was, what's the opening about the date and everything?
Well, it was 1805 that Beethoven's Fourth Symphony premiered at
Left's
house. So
I think Haydn and Beethoven were contemporaries, and I don't know about Schubert. Oh dear, which one is true? I'll go with B, Haydn.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
Well, David, there's no point in Haydn. You can come out with 2 points.
Oh, finally.
The
Finally.
question, that is the answer. Yes, well done, David Sheward. On the board.
David won last week with, I think, 15,000 points. I don't remember. It was a tremendous number of points that he won with. The most ever.
That was true. The final string quartets. He didn't finish all 6 of them, but they were commissioned by Lefkowitz. Lefkowitz, nothing about the commoner and the dead kids. As a matter of fact, he married a prince's daughter, and they had 12 children together, most of whom lived a while. On C, the cantata for Prince Lefkowitz was actually a piece written by Beethoven, and Lobby's kids were supposed to sing it to Franz, but he died before they could.
Was that his beloved nickname? They called him Lobby.
Yeah,
they called Victoria Vicky.
Did Sharkey ever perform Haydn's quartets on those horns? You know.
No, he didn't, but he did work with several opera stars.
Oh,
Lawrence Melchior, who else?
Robert Merrill.
oh,
So
Oh, I
you
remember
may,
Robert Merrill.
you may remember Robert Merrill.
oh, sure.
Sharkey worked with Merrill in the 40s when
I
Merrill
don't
was.
remember him in the 40s, but you know.
No, but but Merrill's career went into the 70s, and
Yes.
you may remember he would sing the national anthem at Yankee games.
Oh, cool.
Wasn't he married to a beautiful woman, also an opera singer named Roberta Peters?
Oh, that I couldn't tell
Was
you.
that Robert Merrill? I think that was Robert Merrill.
I remember Roberta Peters. I don't know if they were.
I think they were married at some point. I don't know why I think that.
Oh,
I remember.
The way my mind works, I'm telling you, on a Saturday morning, I have no idea where
Yes, I remember
brain
Robert Merrill
farts come from.
That's
They're
one
brain
good show.
farts. That's what
on
they
the.
are.
So,
Like that.
but to finish off that last question, I do want to say that, and you guys will appreciate this especially, the Palais Lefkowitz is now part of the Vienna Museum of Art History, and in that palace, it's the theater museum for Vienna.
Oh,
So if you ever go there, that is like a
yeah,
beeline
right.
to
I'm going tomorrow. That was my plan. It was next week. It's my visit.
Vienna waits for you, as Billy Joel would sing.
I've
So
been
here's the
watching Vienna Blood. Has anybody else been watching Vienna Blood on Channel 13?
what
I
is
think
it?
I saw one episode.
I love it. I'm finding it fascinating. Anyway,
I'm sorry, real quick.
it's
what-
about a student of Freud, a young student of Freud. It's back in 1900s. It's a young student of Freud who works with a police inspector, and they solve crimes together.
Oh,
And it's much better than I made it sound.
well, that sounds like something Joyce would really enjoy, actually. So,
Yeah, Joyce, take a look at it. They've also got an early, what are those people called? The coroner. They've also got an early coroner.
I'm watching
Okay.
the Anna Sorkin one.
Yeah,
Anna-
Joyce is watching. Is it on Peacock or what's that on? Or is that
I
on?
think it's on Netflix.
There's one about inventing Anna.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was wonderful. I binge watched that. I watched because you mentioned it, David, and I went off and binge watched it. It was great.
Is killing
The
me.
Inventing Anna one.
Anyhow,
That was you who mentioned it, wasn't it, David?
David or who? Or,
David Sheward.
Oh, you
You
mentioned.
were the one who mentioned Inventing Anna, yes?
Maybe,
Could have been.
The one about that young girl who fooled all of New York.
maybe. I could have.
I'm trying to give you credit, Dave, and you're not
I could
taking
have.
it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, now, it's time to begin, the second round of our yesterday quiz on this March 5th, 2022. We have David Sheward in the lead with 2 points, but Gary, you can get on the board now if you get this question right. But this is not your typical multiple choice or fill-in question. Guess what it's time for? 3 clues in the news. 3 clues in the news. So this is how this works, Gary. I'm going to mention 3 separate words. These words are not connected to each other. Each of these words is connected to the word that we are looking for, that you have to come up with. So if I were to say couch or sweet, let's say, and you think, well, couch blank or sweet, oh, potato, right? Or blank, it could be blank word or word blank. Each of these 3 words is connected to the word we're looking for. And the word we're looking for is related to something that happened in the news this week. Okay?
Okay.
Do you seem thoroughly perplexed, or you think you got this?
No, let's have at it.
Let's have at it. The words are civil, Jack, credit.
The middle one, Jack.
Yes, civil,
Oh, civil.
Jack, credit.
Phew. In the news this week, there's a word that ties those together.
Right. The words are not tied to each other in that way. Each word is tied to the word that you're looking for.
Okay.
So it could
So-
be blank, or this blank, or blank that.
Phew. I'll go with unrest.
Is that your final answer?
The only answer I can come up with.
Well, that's a really good answer, but you won't be resting easy because it is not the correct answer. We're gonna roll
I
the
had a
die.
feeling.
Let's roll this die and see who gets the steal, because I think Leslie and David might think they know this one. So let's see.
No,
Oh,
no.
well,
no,
David Sheward,
no.
maybe you do because
Oh,
I
okay.
rolled your number 3.
All right, let me see. It can't be war because there's Jack War or Credit War, and it won't be Hammer, Jack, and it wouldn't be Cheese. Credit card, credit, credit. I just have to think outside the box, and the word box is not in here. Civil, and so Gary said unrest.
He said unrest. That is not the correct
Okay.
answer.
War, civil, and it's not disobedience because Jack disobedience doesn't make any sense.
If he's nimble and quick, but yeah.
Jack, Hammer, Jack, carjack, credit, credit. Civil. I'll say, oh gods. Discourse. Jack Discourse, my
Is
friend.
that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, I think you should have chosen that course because it's not the correct answer. Leslie Hoban Blake, you've got a steal opportunity here.
See, I have one word that just has been jumping out at me since you said this, and that's jack shit. And I know that's not right, but I had to say it just the same. Okay. That being said, past
The
that.
appropriate
Okay.
word for my show, so
I just had to say it.
It could be it.
You know it. Just think, you know it.
Thank you for all the words it wasn't, David. I appreciate you taking all of those away.
You know what it is. Don't overthink it.
I know, but nothing came at me except Civil War and jack shit. I mean, neither one of those is, they're not together anyway.
Actually, no. Lincoln was saying, he was saying to us, this Civil War is jack shit, and he's on record saying that.
And Jack Discourse sounds like that famous English actor, doesn't it? Jack Discourse. I don't know why it just sounds like that. I am Swedes. No, credit Swedes. No. I have no idea. I'm not even gonna hazard a guess. I know nothing.
All right. Well, if you don't know the answer and you just want to pass, remember you can just say Sharkey.
Sharkey.
The
answer is Sharkey.
Jack
Absolutely.
Well, again, Gary, especially, like sometimes it either comes to you
Can I say
or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Joyce got it within like 5 seconds of my saying it. Joyce? Well, let me read the words.
Yeah.
Civil,
Yeah.
Jack, credit.
Union.
Oh, Union.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Union Jack.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Very good. Very good.
I get it.
Civil
Very
union.
good, Joyce. I got it too, but I didn't get it.
And
in
why
time.
why
Okay.
was that in the news?
Right.
Because why was it in the news?
Because the Soviet Union is rearing its ugly head.
Oh, I didn't think of that. No, and also, but that's also good. But Biden's State of the Union address.
Oh, right.
Oh, State of the
years
Union.
ago.
Oh, yes. All right. Oh, that.
Wow,
Oh,
I'm
that
stumping
okay.
everybody today. Oh, this is a
Hey,
day.
David mentioned a Jack Sharkey. So I should just point out that there was a Jack Sharkey.
There was a Jack Sharkey, right?
He was a heavyweight boxer,
Oh.
and he did work with Sharkey the Seal.
Oh.
Is there a picture of that in the book?
Did they think that was fun because the both
Sharkey
named
is
No,
like-
yeah, it's right. Sharkey and Sharkey. No, it was they worked together.
Sharkey
in,
is like
in
the
Manhattan.
Sharky's like the 6 degrees of separation, you know.
It's
Now, this was your father or your grandfather who was involved with Sharkey?
great grandfather.
The
Great grandfather.
he's like the Kevin Bacon of the animal world.
No, exactly.
Do seals eat bacon or are they only fish? Are they pescatarians or do they?
Fishes, they like to stay in the fish lane. Yeah.
Well, where would they ever find bacon in the wild, David? I mean, you know.
Well,
it's
bears
not-
swim in the ocean. You could have like a dead bear in there, and they could go I don't know.
Gary, I just wanted to ask you: was your great grandfather in vaudeville?
Yes, very much so. Yeah,
So
they,
my grandparents might very well have worked on a bill with Sharkey because they definitely worked on the bill with seals. They just
oh,
didn't know
really?
their names.
Really?
But-
Yeah, they were,
Remind us, what were were they, no, weren't Hobans, what were their names?
Their name was Hoban and Kelly.
okay.
I showed you a picture of them once. My great grand my
Gary
my
hasn't seen it.
grandparents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were in vaudeville, and the name was the act was Hoban and Kelly. But there were so many different acts, and the fact that my grandmother mentioned that there were seals, she didn't ever tell me a name. She
Mm,
just told me stories about, seals getting
Yeah.
loose, or seals in the water, or the tub
Mhm.
of water falling over, stuff like that.
You sure they weren't just mailing out promos using Easter seals? Because that could have been.
Oh.
Oh.
Nope.
No, no. It's 11 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, Eastern time here in the Daverhood. We're playing the Today, Yesterday Trivia Quiz with our wonderful contestants, Leslie Hoban Blake, David Sheward, and author Gary Bohan Jr. So far, we have David Sheward on the board with 2 points. Gary and Leslie not yet on the board, but anything can happen
Amazing, David, isn't it?
as we move on. But here's the deal, David. This question is yours.
Okay.
So you could jump to 4 points if you get
Alrighty.
It's a multiple choice. Are you ready?
Yes.
The year was 1849.
hmm
Sworn in as America's 12th president today is Zachary Taylor, who served 16 months in office before getting an intestinal ailment
Oh, God.
that put him on the toilet and then in the ground. Most reporters say that Taylor died shortly after overeating these 2 items together.
Oh.
What were they? A, cherries and milk. B, salt pork and cheese. C, meat jerky and wine. D, wild turkey and peach pie.
Okay, wait a minute. Cherries and milk, salt pork and cheese.
Yep.
Meat and
meat jerky and wine.
Jerky and wine.
Or
and
wild turkey, not wild turkey and peach pie.
Wild turkey and peach pie. All right. I'm just going to go with my gut and go with cherries because I just for some reason that just strikes me as potentially deadly. Cherries and milk.
Final answer?
Yeah. What the hell?
Well, David Sheward, you should feel really cheery because cherry is the right answer. He ate a bunch of cherries and iced milk, and then he just went that night. He wasn't feeling well at all, and he spent the next couple of days with diarrhea and misery and dropped dead. So there you go. That was the end of Zachary Taylor. Who would figure cherries and milk would go?
And he was succeeded by, who was his vice president?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Fillmore? Didn't Fillmore coming after him, I think?
I'm not sure.
And you see, I don't actually know anything. I get the information, and if it's not on my sheet of stuff.
I think maybe it was Noah Fillmore. That was the movie Amistad. So.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I'm not sure.
And Nigel Hawthorne played Fillmore.
Now, Leslie Hoban Blake, it's time for your next question. Now, David Sheward is in the lead with 4 points, which is not insurmountable, but it can be tough. You can get 2 points here if you get this question. And guess what, Leslie? Guess what kind of question it is?
Oh no! Don't tell me it's the 3 in the news.
3 clues.
Is it? Oh dear! I used to be good at those, and now I'm bad at them. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, you might get this one. And remember, it's 3 words not connected to each other, but connected to a word that is in the news. Are you ready?
No.
The words are night.
With a K or just plain night?
Just plain night.
Thank you.
With an N, okay?
Night.
Circuit. Kangaroo.
Okay, I believe the word is court.
Is that your final
answer? Yeah, court.
Well, you have won this court case, Leslie Hoban Blake.
Yeah.
I knew when I put in kangaroo, it might be a little too easy, but had to do it. Just so.
No, I had it between night and circuit, believe it or not. Kangaroo just pegged it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It either comes or it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I figured it out too.
Yeah. And what about you, Gary? Did you kind of get that one? Did that work for you?
My lips are sealed.
My lips are sealed. Get it? I get it. And by the way, why that word this week?
The Supreme Court, the Biden appointed, I forget her name, to this.
Supreme Court Justice.
Nominated her.
I didn't even think of that. Thank you. And why else? That specifically you, David, and Leslie would know, although the spelling's a little different.
Well,
About
because
Trump?
the court theater will be renamed to the James.
Oh, James Earl Jones, right.
Well done. Good job. Good job.
I wouldn't have thought of that though because of the spelling, so it
The
wouldn't have
spelling,
even
yeah.
occurred to me, you know.
But Leslie, you are on the board now. You have 2 points. David has.
I am.
4.
I'm on the board. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
My
you-
life has meaning.
Yes, again, my life has meaning again. Yes, okay.
Just before we all die from nuclear toxins spewing from Russia, we find
Oh,
the meaning of life in this
Please,
show.
I know.
Yeah.
Why are those idiots going to meetings when they know all he has to do is blow dust on them or give them water with some kind of, uranium
Well,
shit? I wouldn't go anywhere near those people while they're bombing. It's crazy.
they
I'm
have
sorry.
to try to save their people. The negotiations
Yeah.
would be like at least.
Negotiations don't go on while the war is going on. Negotiations go on during a truce.
Well,
That's the way it works historically.
Russia has no
None
reason
of this
to
works
call it truth.
historically.
yeah. Well, what can they do?
Well, they can say fuck you, but I mean it's
Well-
ridiculous.
Yeah. They should have a
What-
Zoom meeting. They could do it by Zoom, or Google Meet.
Yes.
Or
Exactly.
Russian, they should do Google
Exactly.
Meet. Yeah. Anyway,
Exactly.
we're moving on to the next round of our Today Yesterday quiz. So again, we start with Gary. Gary, this is the first question with the third round. It is a multiple choice. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. The year was 1853. After 20 years building musical instruments in Germany, Steinway and Sons opens in Manhattan. So which of these is false about Steinway and their pianos? A, in 1859, the company's least expensive piano cost $275. B, in the late 1800s, Steinway helped build parts for Mercedes automobiles. C, the Juilliard School of Music is officially designated as an all Steinway school. Or D, when Steinway went public in 1996, they chose the stock symbol LVB for Ludwig van Beethoven. One of these is false.
So it's my turn.
Yes, Gary, yes.
Okay. I think the one that's false is A, the first one, $275, the least expensive. I would think that once you factor in inflation, that number sounds too high to me. So I'm going with A.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Well, musically, I'm afraid that's a rather discordant answer. That is not. I mean, it was true that was the cheapest piano back then.
A trained seal could have done a better job at these. Okay.
Any particular train seal in mind there, Gary?
Sharkey.
Does Sharkey have like babies?
Sharkey.
Like Sharkey descendants?
That's a great question, Gary. Did he's put out the stud? Did he have like Sharkettes or something, or little shark?
No, it was at the time, the training facility was an all-male institution.
Oh.
Yeah. And
Did
as
he ever get to mate ever?
no, Sharkey did not. There were others,
Oh.
but as one of the trainers said, very chauvinistically, have women around and you're bound to have trouble.
So
Yeah.
a version of that would have been the seals in the band.
Well,
I was
that
going to say maybe that's
wrong.
what happened.
There's the
Seals in the
Sharkey and the
band.
butler. There was something going on between the.
Come
Right.
on. It's,
Anywho, it was, or maybe anytime they went to a fancy restaurant with Sharkey, you'd see a waiter in a tux, and then Sharkey would be like, "Hello, that looks familiar." So anywho, I don't know. I was going somewhere where that didn't work.
I know.
I was
and
thinking
you
of
never
the,
arrived. Let's go.
I was thinking of the trained seal reference in Long Day's Journey into Night, where the son, where James Tyrone Jr. says he mocks his father by saying, a trained seal is more of an actor than you.
Ouch.
Hmm.
Ouch. Okay. Although, I apologize to Sharkey and to all.
I was gonna say, that's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, David Sheward.
Sharkey will take umbrage.
Yes.
Would have taken
You,
umbrage.
you
Okay.
get to steal,
Okay.
if you can, this question.
All right,
And
read
we're
the
gonna-
question again.
Sure. 1853 was the year. This is the day Steinway and Sons opens in Manhattan. Which of these is not
Not true. Okay.
about them and their pianos? B, in the late 1800s, Steinway helped build parts for Mercedes automobiles. C, the Juilliard School of Music is officially designated as an all-Steinway school. Or D, when Steinway went public in 1996, they chose the symbol LVB for Ludwig van Beethoven.
LVB.
LVB, Ludwig van Beethoven.
All right. So which of these is not true?
Right.
And B was in the 1800s. Mercedes. They made
In the
parts.
late
Mercedes.
1800s, Steinway's helped build parts for Mercedes automobiles.
I don't think Mercedes. Well, maybe. I don't know. When was the automobile invented? I don't think it was quite then. I'll say. You know what? I'll say B.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Sorry to drive you crazy, but I'm afraid that is not the correct
Oh, okay.
answer, and they
All right.
would help. So,
So it falls to me, and there's nothing about Steinway and Astoria where the piano factory still is to this day. None of that, and why Steinway Street in Queens is
Oh, I
called
didn't
Steinway
realize
because
that.
of the Steinway.
Didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, all of that.
well, no,
Is
I remember
true.
somebody asked me the other day, what's a Steinway? And I said, about 800 pounds for a good one. But yes, thank you.
So I'm left with
About a buck
Juilliard
and a
or
half a
LVB. Okay,
About $1.50 a pound.
Oh,
right.
What's a Hemingway? Oh, about
yeah.
About as much as a tuna.
Yeah.
And did you know that Steinway's real name was Steinweg, and they changed it to be less
Oh,
when they came to America? But yeah.
so
Okay.
which one is false? That Juilliard is an all Steinway school, or that LVB is?
Their
Excuse me.
stock symbol, Gesundheit.
All right.
God bless. I would think that you'd want your own initials on your stock somehow, even though, Beethoven is not the only person ever to have played a piano. So I'm going to go with the false one is D.
Oh, good point.
Is that your final? Oh, wait, hold on one
Look,
second.
it's White Fang.
Here's. Oh my goodness! I'm doing more stumping than bombs in World War I with. soldiers.
Wow. So it was
Yes.
Juilliard, huh?
And where I'm going. Yeah, the answer is, out of Juilliard's 260 pianos, 248 are Steinways, but that means they're not officially designated, like Yale is an all Steinway school.
Okay.
And there are about 100 other colleges and universities that are all Steinway. So that was the correct.
So that's 2 A's and 2 C's, David, right?
No, I've got 1 C. I've got A, D, B, A, C.
I have ADC.
Oh, I haven't even. Let's see. Let me,
There's no point to this. We try to detect a pattern. And it
I
never
know. No, we didn't. David started it and I fell into it because it seemed like there might be
But we got
something
nothing
to
better
it.
to do.
And we told David, we told Lefkowitz about it, and
It's
now
like-
it doesn't work anymore.
It's like when my husband takes me to a baseball game. The only way I can stay interested is if I write down all the stats.
Right.
well, you gotta enjoy the play. I'm hoping it's a good revival. Take me out. If you don't like baseball,
I don't care about that. It's all the
naked.
naked men in the showers I want to
Yeah.
look at. That's,
All right,
you know.
so we're up to number
Richard
8.
Greenberg was my dad's neighbor and was a very nice
Oh.
man to my father. Very
Oh,
nice.
really?
Who?
The playwright.
Richard
Oh.
Greenberg has a duplex on West 22nd at 9th Avenue. My dad was right above him.
Oh.
And Richard would always stop over because my dad lived alone and he lived a very long time. And my father considered himself a writer. He started to write at the age of 80 and
Wow.
he had a self-published book and he took a copy of his self-published book to Richard. He said, "I know you're a writer. I want to give you this." And Richard read the book or read some of it and commented and was very sweet. And after that, they always talked. And it was very nice for my dad because my dad, did not make friends easily.
Leslie, you seem to know, your dad seems to have known more people than Sharkey.
Well, today, this morning, as it happens, just
Yeah.
not for
Leslie,
real. but-
aren't you? I always thought you were related to Russell Hoban, the writer, aren't you, or no?
No, I'm not. No.
No relation.
No.
to Russell. Oh,
And not Phoebe Hoban and not any of the other Hobans.
So a
No,
whole
no
different-
relation. Except my grandparents who were in vaudeville, except Hoban and Kelly.
Oh.
That's the
Wait.
only Hoban.
they were
Now,
the ones with
Sharkey
Hoban.
did have a lot of writers that wrote about him,
Oh.
theater critics and the
Really?
like. Yeah, Walter Winchell, Dorothy Kilgallen. Those are probably
Oh.
names you're familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Dorothy wrote about Sharkey all the time. Burns
Did he ever-
Mantle.
Did he ever go on What's My Line?
He did not. No.
Oh.
That would have been fun.
He could've
Burns
been the mystery
Mantle. I
guy.
have that collection, the Burns
He could've
Mantle
been-
collection.
could've
Wow.
Yeah,
been the mystery
he was the Daily News theater critic. Yeah.
Right.
So they all had something to say about Sharkey.
Oh wait, Sharkey was the Daily News theater critic.
No, Burns Mantle was.
Burns
Oh.
Mantle was.
So what'd you
That
think of
would've been
Long Day's
fun.
Journey into Night?
He
I
would-
love the mention.
He would be much better than Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I don't know.
So now I understand your reference when we started today, when I came on, when you were talking about the Hamlet that he was doing. Now I
Yeah.
got it.
Okay, here we go. Time for our next question in our third round of our yesterday quiz, which goes directly to David Sheward. Now, David, you're in front by 2 points. So, if you get this, it's going to be basically the game. If you get this right. So here's
Okay,
the
ready.
What, Leslie?
I'm sorry, where are we?
We're
This is
number-
David's
question
question.
number 8.
David is first, so this is the beginning of the third round?
No, in the
No,
middle of the third round.
Gary was first. I'm second. You're third.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Up to
Sorry.
question number 8.
Remember, it goes 3, 6,
Thank you.
9, and then
I'm glad somebody's here to keep me. I have no idea. Thank you. It's all just a blur.
David Sheward, one more. Oh, thank you so much. One
Good
more
job.
multiple choice question. for
Okay.
you. The year was 1936.
Okay.
8th Academy Awards.
Ah.
Mutiny on the Bounty, with 8 nominations, wins only one, but that one is Best Picture.
Okay.
Speaking of bounty, which of these is true about paper towels?
Thought it was going to be an Oscar question. Damn it.
Oh,
Okay,
It's
paper
certainly
towel.
not. A, the model for the original Brawny Man on Brawny paper towels was Monty Python Come to Life, a gay lumberjack. B, they were invented when the head of a paper company plant repurposed unusable toilet paper. C, using select-the-size paper towels doesn't actually reduce your carbon footprint because people just end up using more sheets. Or D, since 2017, the official motto of Scott Paper Towels is matching your busy lifestyle.
Wait, now which of these is false or which of these
No.
is true?
Only one of these is true.
All right, now I don't quite understand the first one. Are you saying that the model
For the
or
original
the guy who posed for that picture happens to be gay? Is that what you're saying?
a gay lumberjack.
Oh, so not just an actor dressed as a lumberjack, but a gay lumberjack.
Yeah.
So the question is, which of these is true or false?
Which of these is true?
All right, I think that's false. I think that's false. That's too ridiculous. So B is the toilet paper.
Right. That paper towels were invented when the head of a paper company plant repurposed unusable toilet paper. C, using select-the-size paper towels doesn't actually reduce America or your carbon footprint because people just end up using more sheets. Or D, since 2017, the official motto of Scott Paper Towels is matching your busy lifestyle.
So which of these is true?
Right.
I think it's C because I think it is true that people do use more paper towels, even if they're smaller selections, because that's what I do. So I'm going to say C.
Final answer?
Yes.
En español, C is no.
Oh,
No. Sorry, I made that up.
okay.
Nope. So
All right.
we have a steal opportunity. We still have a game here, and it comes up, Gary. Gary, I get a bit steamy number 2 for you.
Okay.
Let's see if you can steal this question.
Yeah, just if you could give me the 3 remaining answers.
Sure. Okay, which of these is true about paper towels? A, the model for the original Brawny Man on Brawny paper towels was, like Monty Python Come to Life, a gay lumberjack. B, They were invented when the head of a paper company plant repurposed unusable toilet paper. Or D, since 2017, the official motto of Scott Paper Towels is matching your busy lifestyle.
I'm going to go with B, the one about repurposing toilet paper.
You're going to say that that one is
Is true.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
You know, I don't have special effects. I probably do. But if I did and I was using movie effects, I would use a wipe. Because that is correct answer!
Oh.
Gary, you're on the board! You have to... Ah! Squish, 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 squish. Yes. That actually happened.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It was too thick and it wasn't perforated properly. They weren't going to junk like thousands of rolls of toilet. So they said, oh, you know, we'll just have disposable paper towels. And that really is how paper.
And I am the opposite of you, David Sheward. I love the selector size because I definitely can use a smaller piece.
Me too. Mm-hmm. I always just take a little.
And not go back for a second one. It's a mental thing. You know.
Sure. I'm trying to eat an apple while doing the show here.
Everything I do is a mental thing.
Yes,
So,
I know.
Here's the truth. The designer of the Brawny Man was a guy named John Soley, and he used his own son to model for, put on the jacket or put on the lumberjack shirt. And Scott Towell's motto, I kind of love this because this is more ridiculous than the one I came up with. Common sense on a roll.
Okay. Yeah.
If you look on Scott Paper Towel, common sense on a roll.
That's what I have for lunch every day.
I'd rather have lots on a roll, I'll tell you that. Oh, anywho, look at this. We have, my goodness, a game that could be really a game here because David is ahead with 4 points, but both Gary and Leslie have 2 points, and we have one question left before the tiebreaker. So if either David either Gary or Leslie gets this question right, we'll have a tie, which is
no, because David has already won. The tiebreaker's an extra.
No. If one of you gets 4, then we'll have then the tiebreaker will be real.
Yeah.
Is this my question? Did I miss a question?
No,
No,
this is
your
our question.
Oh, I
Leslie.
have a question, and then we have the tiebreaker.
Yes.
go.
We're not up to the tiebreaker yet.
I'm
So
sorry.
if
Okay,
you get this,
I misunderstood what David said, as usual.
Well, here's the thing. If you get this right, Leslie, you're tied. If you get it wrong,
Okay,
Gary's
got it. Now, yes, of course. Yes,
Indeed,
I
try to keep
understand
up
that. No
here.
pressure here.
Try
Okay,
to keep
go.
up here.
Now, Gary would like this one, but this is for Leslie first. The year was 1960. Marine biologist Alistair Hardy makes public his long-held theory that humans evolved from ancestors that weren't necessarily what Darwin had in mind. What is the commonly accepted name for Hardy's theory? A, the aquatic ape hypothesis. B, Theoretica Oceana. C, the theory of appendaged ocean life, parts 1 through 3. Or D, proposition on the emergence of Homo sapiens from Proto-sapiens.
You have to give all of that one more time.
Oh,
Sorry.
absolutely. Oh, sure. So which of these was the name commonly accepted for Alistair Hardy's theory? A, the aquatic ape hypothesis. B, Theoretica Oceana. C, the theory of appendaged ocean life, parts 1 through 3. Or D, proposition of the emergence of Homo sapiens from Proto-sapiens.
Okay, given how dull these things usually are, and they're usually papers, and I think I remember something about this vaguely. I'm going to say Homo sapiens and Proto-sapiens.
Is that your final answer?
Well, if I understand what Proto-sapiens are, yes, but I may not, so there we go. Okay.
Well, your secrets are safe with me, Leslie. That is not the correct answer, I'm afraid. So, this is a big one. This is a big roll. David, you could take this right here, or Gary could tie if it goes to
David's
him.
already got it. Gary, we got to get you to tie.
Here we go. It comes up with a number 2. Gary, you can steal. You can actually tie David if you get this right.
Oh, okay. I thought it was David's turn. All right.
No, it's
Well,
whoever,
it's a steal opportunity.
however the roll comes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It came up with your number too.
I got you.
In
So
numbers
the-
update. Gary.
Oh, I mean, I gotta get this one, right? It's, how can I not?
Do it for Sharkey. Yes.
Okay. And
You
one
went
of
for
these is,
Sharkey, right?
one of these is true. And one of the first one, I'm thinking it's not gonna be some fancy schmancy theory. It's gonna be, what was aquatic?
The
or
aquatic
something?
ape hypothesis, B, Theoretica Oceana, or C, the theory of appendaged ocean life, parts 1 through 3.
I'm going with A, aquatic ape.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Oh, Gary, I'm so sorry to be monkeying around with you, but that is right! That's the game! Oh my god! Oh my god! It's a tie! Oh!
Aquatic ape theory?
Yep, the aquatic ape hypothesis. That's the actual name.
Aquatic ape hypothesis? That sounds like a horror movie. from
And
the
actually, I'm sorry, you're right.
1950s.
You're right, David. It was also called the aquatic ape theory and the waterside hypothesis.
Yeah.
The idea was that humans are closer to actual fish things also.
But that our lungs are not water. We can't breathe in water.
Yeah, but
It's
some
about those little creatures that grew legs. It was that stage between, as opposed to making them get all the way to apes, it was when they grew those little legs that we can go back that far. That's what it was. I mean, I remember, the basic of it, but I had no idea what the title was.
the aquatic ape
Good
hypothesis.
for you. Good for you, Gary.
Very good. That's so
Gary,
good.
this is unbelievable. This is incredible. Now, all three of you play the tiebreaker, but it really is a tie between David Sheward and our new friend of the Daverhood, our guest, Gary Bohan Jr. So, Gary, do you have a writing implement and a scribble onto implement?
I do.
So this is how this works, Gary. Our tiebreaker, all three of you answer, but you're not going to say the answers. You're going to write down. It's a fill-in. It's not a multiple choice. And then I'll read the question one more time. I'll give 3, 2, 1, and you will hold up to the camera your written answer.
Okay.
And that
You
way-
write it big enough to see on the camera.
Yep.
Big and clear. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Sure.
And Gary, no fair consulting with Sharkey or any seals on this. You have to get it yourself. Here we go.
Okay, you got it.
The year was 1936. Born today in Los Angeles to parents who were performers is this child actor turned grown-up actor. His off-screen activities included starring on Broadway in Compulsion, marrying the actress who played Anne Frank in the George Stevens movie, and designing the album cover for Neil Young's American Stars and Bars. Can you make a leap and name that actor?
Okay.
Bird's got it. Leslie's thinking. I think Leslie may have it.
Do your music. You need your music.
I don't even have my question thing. Oh, I forgot to put up the all-important prop. We spent like thousands of dollars on this thing. Where is it? Hold on.
New potato?
Oh, we have a new potato today, by the way. There he is. But no.
Do you actually have a shelf full of potatoes, David? Or do you throw out the old potatoes when they get old and you buy a new one?
Oh, don't be throwing me out. I'm a good potato. Oh, please.
No, Leslie, I have
Oh, that,
a shelf
okay.
full of
Oh,
potatoes.
But
please.
now you see the new Batman movie is out, so that just looks like the Riddler symbol.
Don't be hurting me, sir. I'm a good potato, I am.
Oh, well, you have appeal. Okay.
Oh,
Gary, you written down.
you're hurting me. You're hurting me, sir.
So, how are we doing, Gary? You got
Uh,
some.
Okay.
Do you
I
have
don't think
enough to share, David? It's not nice to eat if you don't have enough to share.
No, you just
No, it's okay.
Yes.
I'm being
some through the.
The apple doesn't fall far. But here we go. Here's like if I wasn't eating this apple, Leslie, I would literally be asleep in front of you. It's kind of like instant sugar, like help. So here's the deal, Gary. If you get this right, you win. David Sheward, if you get this right, you win. Leslie, I just hope you get this right. And it would kind of be a four-way tie, but we don't play it like that. But here's the question one more time, and then I'll count 3, 2, 1, and everybody hold up your answers to the camera. The year was 1936. Born today in Los Angeles to parents who were performers is this child actor turned grown-up actor. His off-screen activities included starring on Broadway in Compulsion, marrying the actress who played Anne Frank in the George Stevens movie, and designing the album cover for Neil Young's American Stars and Bars. Can you make a leap and name that actor? 3, 2, 1. I see David Sheward with Dean Stockwell. I see Charlton Heston, and I see Leslie. Can you? Oh, I think you're holding up Dean Stockwell as well. Are you? Whoa,
Yes.
boy! Oh boy, Gary. I'm afraid you missed it on this one.
I knew I missed it, but
It was in fact Dean Stockwell.
I didn't know he married her.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I just saw her on an old episode of Heart to Heart. I didn't know that he married her.
Yeah. What was her name?
Millie Perkins.
Thank you. Yes, Millie Perkins, right. And so, and I think she still might be alive.
Probably.
Stockwell died a couple of months ago, actually.
Right.
He was on Quantum Leap, of course.
I loved him. The boy with the green hair. I loved him.
That was the
The
lead.
boy with the green hair.
Quantum Leap, yeah. I
And
threw
the
that
lead,
in there too. Yeah.
And he was in the Magic Garden. What was the Secret Garden? He was in all of those movies.
And one of my favorite all-time films, Paris, Texas. If you've never seen it, it's one of the great.
Yes.
And in the
Yes.
film version of Long Day's Journey into Night.
Oh, he was
Yes.
he Jamie or was
Yes.
he-
No, he was Edmund.
Edmund. Oh wow. Cool.
And Jason Robards repeated his Broadway performance as Jamie.
Well, you have repeated your
Excellent. Congratulations,
Thank
David.
you.
winning the Today Yesterday quiz.
you.
Congratulations.
Now my life has meaning.
So, David Sheward, because you won, you get the great honor of telling us first what you're up to. What we can read of yours. Oh, that's from. Rocky
That's the
Horror.
fairy from Fractured Fairy Tales.
Yay.
What
What can we read of yours? Yeah.
Well, I have on the blog and on Theater Life just some news reports about the James Earl Jones Theater being named. And there's a new Broadway show called POTUS with an all-female cast coming out of nowhere, which just what's going on. And my reviews of The Hang and English at Atlantic Theater Company.
So those are written and people can read your
Yes.
reviews. Okay.
No, they're out of my head and I just, flash them mentally. No, I'm joking. And
That day will come, right?
yes, and I did just a little update on what films I've seen that have been nominated for Oscars. I'm trying to see as many in the categories as possible.
Every week we keep asking you about Licorice Pizza. Have you seen the damn thing yet or not?
Not yet. I did see Spencer last night. So now I've seen all the acting nominees. I've seen all the.
Yeah. How was
I've
it?
seen-
For hire or what? No.
It was weird. It's about Kristen Stewart plays Princess Diana, and it's a weird movie. And it's. I thought she was terrible. To give it, like I'm having a nervous breakdown. All right, I'm having a nervous breakdown, Mom. Don't shoot me. Well, that's the wrong accent, but never mind.
I was going to say, but okay.
All right.
Given your multiplicity of accents. I have nothing. Charlie was in orientation all week.
Oh, yeah, he's got this new job.
I
Congratulations.
don't know if he's gone to the theater. He has been absolutely off the radar. So I haven't even heard from him. I don't know what's going on.
Got it. But people can watch older.
But I am going back to the theater. I'm starting
great.
Monday. I'm going to put out feelers and try to get into as much as I can.
Ooh, that sounds dirty.
I know.
I'm putting out feelers and getting into as much as I can.
Septimus
Ooh.
does it all the time. See, it's like here's one, there's two.
Yep, that's it.
Now, Gary Bohan, we know what you are writing. We know what you have written. And we know that SUNY Press has published Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business, 1907 to 1958, all about your great-grandpa training Sharkey and other performing seals for...
It doesn't say who that actress is somewhere in the intro or on the frontispiece or any place.
No, I tried. I could not identify that actress.
That's just
Okay.
the photo you happen to have.
Yes, yeah, it was a
Yeah, I
publicity
can't see
shot.
it close enough to really get her face.
Did you have to get
Leslie
any
is without
photos?
Sharkey.
Oh,
Did you have
and
to
he
get any
smoked a
photos?
pipe. Look at that.
Did you get photos from like Photo Fest or any of those services? Or those?
I did, yeah, I did get some photos from some photo services. I got a couple from the New York Public Library,
Oh, okay.
some colleges, and
To all
That's-
authors, make sure you have a budget for photos before you publish.
yeah, it's like I was saying earlier, a lot of people were generous and gave me permission gratis, and so it
David
wasn't too
knows
bad.
whereof he speaks, because David has written, of course, a biography of George C. Scott that was called what? Remind me?
Rage and Glory, the volatile life and career of George C. Scott.
Published by whom? Because people can still...
Applause.
Applause Theater
Oh,
and
okay.
School Books.
Yeah.
Does
And-
Applause still exist, David?
I don't know.
Just curious.
Okay. Applause books. Yeah. Applause. You were talking about Burns Mantle before. Applause took on that whole series for a few years.
Well,
Books
that-
again, I'm going to say something you're all going to get upset about. My father had the complete set of Burns Mantle. What he didn't actually own originally, he went out and found at the Strand, and he put out feelers. It was before you could buy things online, and he managed to put together a whole set. And I sold it to the, except for the duplicates, which I kept, I sold it to the Drama Bookshop.
Good.
It's probably part of that, gigantic thing that they made out of books.
Why
I'm
would
really
that-
upset about that.
Why would that upset us?
It upsets me. Because no, because I've been mentioning my father all morning, and,
Oh, no.
and there again I'm mentioning my father. But it upsets me that they would do that to books. That's all.
Well, no, I gotta say, I had the whole set. I had the Burns Mantle because I wrote the intros for 3 of them actually. back
Oh,
in the-
wow! I did not know that, David.
David's book is still listed on the website. Yeah.
Oh, David Sheward's book about George is still on the Applause Cinema
Oh,
website.
Cinema website. Yeah.
But
I guess there
the whole
still
set.
is an applause. Okay,
in-
that
in
answers 2
Colorado.
questions.
I mean, it's I had to junk it and sell. Yeah, I literally from the early 1900s. It killed me to get rid of
I
it.
sent you a note. I probably won't see you next week. I'm going to be visiting I'm going to be away.
Well, enjoy. If that changes, let us know.
Okay.
But thank you for participating today, Leslie Hoban Blake, in our Today Yesterday quiz. Also to David Sheward, wishing you a very
Congrats.
fine week. And
Thank you.
welcome and thank you so much to our new friend and almost winner, not a winner today, but almost winner, did very well for a
Did
new
very well.
yes, very good.
Gary,
Thank you.
Gary, I was going to say Hoban. Gary Bohan.
Nice meeting you, Gary.
Likewise, likewise.
Yes,
That was a
very
lot of fun.
nice.
That was a lot of fun.
Thank
Very
you,
nice.
guys. See you soon. David, I'll see you next week. Leslie in 2 weeks. And we'll see you all in the Daverhood. Give
Okay.
Flipper, no, do seal things while I let you go.
Good night, Dick. As they used to say on Latin.
Oh, and farewell to all of you. Bye-bye, David Sheward. See you next week. And bye-bye, Leslie. See you shortly.
Do you put
Okay.
How do you?
I remove them. I have to remove, they can't get back in. That's the unfortunate thing. But
Oh yeah.
but it saves them from having to figure out how to get out.
Next week. Yeah.
But anywho, wow, what a fun game. What a great
Who
crew.
believe that the guest would win? Did he win or
No,
not?
he came close. He came,
But that's the closest the guest.
tied the
Vicky,
game.
When she was a guest one, I think.
Yeah. It was a brand new guest
Yeah.
who came that close. That's oh,
Seal
oh,
power,
the
seal
excitement.
power.
are you excited about that, Potato? Oh man, yeah. Look at his little belly button. Look how cute that, or is it a dimpled chin? Actually, it's his chin dimple.
Oh my
Look at
back.
that.
I
Oh
don't know.
no, it's gone now.
It
Oh
looks like a stitch.
yeah, that could be it.
Is it a stitch?
What is it? It's just a little bit of fuzz. Oh, it's gone.
It's got weird hair.
Hey, he's beautiful. And I'm hoping you're having a beautiful time watching this episode, our 840th of Dave's Gone By. Remember, you can find out all about the show and watch or listen to almost every single one of our previous episodes. So we're talking about literally thousands of
I
hours.
feel sorry about your books, but you know what?
Oh, well, it's just easy come, easy go. But you can watch and hear my show at davesgoneby.com.
Was that a dig to me?
What? Dave's, DAVESGONEBY.com. davesgoneby.com, where all the archives for free reside. You can either download or stream on your computer. Plus, we have 2 separate archives there. We've got one for just all the shows complete, and then we've also separated out all the interviews. So let's say you want to share this fun interview we have with Gary Bohan Jr., talking about his book, talking about trained seals and the early days of vaudeville, or actually middle to later days of vaudeville. And you say, oh, somebody I know would love to see that. Well, you can just go right to it in a day or two, right on davesgoneby.com. You can also do that at archive.org. We put all our archives there. If you just want the audio of the show, remember that we are on castbox.fm. That is specifically for podcasts, audio podcasts, castbox.fm. And there we are. And then finally, if you are on Long Island in Nassau County and you get cable TV, you and it's Altice is the provider. At 9:30 at night on Tuesday nights, you can watch an hour-long excerpt of this show. 9:30 to 10:30. It's a random excerpt. It's not really the best way to see the show, but hell, we're on television. We're on TV. Tuesday nights from 9:30 to 10:30 on Channel 20 in Nassau County, Altice Cable. Plus, we have a YouTube channel. Plus, if you're looking for Dave's Gone By, you can find a ton of it. So just go searching Dave's Gone By. Well, we have a bit more to do on this program. It's about 20 to 12 Eastern time in the Daverhood. We did our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, God help us. We also, well, let's see, what else do we need to do? Oh, we got to go do some Greeley criminality. Are you ready for that, dear?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you feeling like a criminal, as Fiona Apple would say? I know I am. So, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. This is taken from the pages of the newspaper out in northern Colorado, the Greeley Tribune. It's mixing up calls that came in legitimately, real phone calls, to the police department in Weld County, and items that were in the newspaper 100 years ago. Together, they form Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Ladies and gentlemen, so here we go. We there are both things that happened a week or two ago and things that were in the paper 10 decades ago. Are you ready, dear? Let's do some new criminality. This is I don't really have time to tell the doctor, but maybe I will. A goose fell out of the sky and crashed into someone's yard on 6th Avenue. So, and someone I guess called the police about it because, why would, maybe they were playing Duck, Duck, Goose, and that just didn't, anyway, I thought it was amusing. A caller on 7th Street reported a man with a scarf around his head came to her house and demanded to see her camera footage because someone broke into his vehicle and stole his guns. That's not good.
Yeah, but that's good if she has footage of it.
Oh, it is good, but it's not so good if he just kind of leaves guns in his vehicle and they're stolen.
No, you have to have those suckers locked up and separate from ammunition.
How do you, though? Let's say you're taking guns to a gun show.
You're supposed to be present. You never leave the car unattended, or you have it in a lockbox, right?
Yeah, because what do you do if it's like a three that you're driving
Yeah, but
from?
they're lockboxes. You can have lockboxes, so you could put it in a safe, but it's mobile.
And the safe can fit in the car.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So even if they get into the car,
yeah.
they would have to somehow figure out a way to take the safe. And
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. A caller. Oh, we have a caller. Hold on. Yo ho. Okay. Thank you for sharing. A caller on 31st Avenue reported a drunk woman playing in the mud.
Oh,
That's quite a sight. You gotta figure like some 40, 50-year-old woman just kind of making mud puddles. I kind of would like to see that. I don't know why, but
She's having a good time.
yeah. Now, On the same thing, oh no, that was 31st Avenue. This is 31st Street. A caller on 31st Street said, yeah, okay. She said that a woman told her she had a sixth sense and thought something happened after finding a piece of carpet with blood on it. Okay. Yeah, maybe she needs a seventh sense on that one. Oh, these were funny when I was gathering them. Let's do another one here. A caller on 10th Street. Uh-huh. Where are you on? You're on 10th Street. That makes sense. The caller said that a hacker accessed her bank account and took, how much do you think?
$3.99.
Lower.
$1.99.
Lower.
1 penny.
$1. A hacker bothered to access her bank account
That's a good hacker. That's very fair.
and took $1. I guess if he keeps doing that day after day, he'll start accumulating some stuff.
I love that.
Here's one. This I like. And we go to 8th Street, so it might be near the vortex of 8th and 8th. A caller on 8th Street. Yeah.
Wait.
Here we go. Caller on 8th Street reported a man urinated in a trash can.
I don't have any sound for urination.
I know. I think what got me with that one is he urinated in rather than near
God bless him.
or on.
He's tidy.
Yeah, but you have to figure, how tall is this guy
He's pretty tall.
that he can,
He's pretty tall.
yeah.
Unless it was a short trash can.
Could be. It wasn't a wastebasket. They say
Like a
trash.
bucket, like a bucket or a pail.
That could, that could be it. Let's do some old-timey stuff. Let's find, these are things that were in the newspaper in northern Colorado back in 1922, reprinted in Mike Peters' column, 100 years, the column is called 100 Years Ago. Hunters from the big city have been killing off antelopes in Weld County, and soon the county may be without any antelopes. One farmer said he found areas where 3 or 4 antelopes have been killed and butchered. The state limit is 1 antelope per hunter. Wow.
There were a lot of hunters.
Wouldn't it be, but can you imagine just like being in Greeley, Colorado all those years, and there was like antelopes roaming, well, not for long, but antelopes roaming free. I'm just surprised there weren't any honeydews roaming as well. Get it? Comedy.
I have nothing to say.
The city's health inspector seized 8 4/4 of beef from the Levy cash and carry meat market. It was delivered here just a short time ago from a Denver butcher shop. They said the beef smelled bad and was very slimy. They took it to the county and they took it to the country, excuse me, and fed it to pigs on a farm. That's what, on our honeymoon, you said the same thing about me, was smelled bad and was very slimy.
Oh, you're lovely.
Oh, good.
You're a very handsome man, honey.
Well, thank you,
Eat
darling.
your apple. It'll give you energy. You need food for
All right,
later.
I can't chew and talk on at the same time, though.
Really?
In his Sunday sermon at the Park Congregational Church in Greeley, Reverend L.A. Wilson, as opposed to Reverend S.F. Wilson, which was north of L.A., complained about teachers. Quote, "There are now more school teachers than are needed," he said, quote, "Why should we not take advantage of the law and supply and demand?" I'm messing this up. "Why shouldn't we take advantage of the law of supply and demand and cut their wages?"
Yeah.
Reaganomics back in 1922. Can you believe
I think he must have worked for the Teachers College. Raises!
Hey, you got nothing to complain about.
Not yet. It's not in the bucket.
Well, let's do one more old-timey thing, and then we'll go elsewhere. Someone remarked to Phillips Brooks that atheists seem to lead moral lives. Quote, "They have to," said Brooks. "They have no God to forgive them if they don't." Ah! Oh, those witticisms back in the day. All right. This. I love this. I think you saw this, dear. You were not as thrilled and excited by this as I was.
I'm often not.
Very. We go for this story not to Greeley or Evans or even Fort Collins, Colorado, but all the way to Australia. Australia for this news item that happened just last week. A determined 22-year-old reclaimed a Guinness World Records title last week. Guinness World Records announced that Brendan Kelby of Australia broke the record held by Will Cutbill and Rocco Mercurio. What did Kelby do? He stacked 6 M&Ms on top of each other. You see, in 2016, the record was first set with 4 M&Ms by Silvio Saba. Kelby tied the record in November 2020 and then jointly claimed the title. A few months later,
Are there like hot contenders who are challenging you, thinking like
there absolutely are.
it's not right? Yeah.
Well, you know, when it comes to M&Ms, women are from Venus, but men are from Mars.
Aw,
Dang it, the
Mars bars. I
Candy
get it.
reference, okay. A few months later, Cutbill, who lives in England, took the title and dared anyone to beat him. Quote, when I tell them it's a whopping 5, they're shocked. Shocked, Cutbill told CNN. They want to give it a go. Try and beat me. Well, Kelby, who was on a quest to break 21 Guinness records in 2021, rebuilt the tiny tower of M&Ms on October 14th, 2021, and then added one more. Said Kelby, quote, I'm a serial record breaker. So, if you're planning to try for 7 M&Ms on top of each other, please note, according to Guinness, quote, the stack must be completely freestanding and able to stand for a minimum of 10 seconds once completed. Flavored M&Ms such as peanut and mint are not permitted. Only plain chocolate can be used. Kelby did not complete his quest to break 21 records in 2021, but he still has the most titles for, or he holds titles for, most drumstick flips in 1 minute, fastest time to build a 10 toilet roll pyramid.
What?
He takes 10 rolls of toilet paper, not those old unused paper towels, but actual toilet paper, and builds a pyramid out of them faster than anybody else in history, and longest duration spinning a basketball on the nose, and 12 others. Meanwhile, and this is lovely, Mohammed Mukbel of Yemen now has the record.
That's his real name?
Mohammed
I
Mukbel.
love it.
Well, remember that name because he has the record for stacking 4 eggs on top of each other. I don't know if that's harder or easier than but 4 eggs. I used to get thrilled. I used to
Are
get.
they hard boiled or are they uncooked?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't.
know.
Because I used to be like off my nut around the time, and it's only 2 weeks away now, of the solstice. Right, or no, solstice is June. No, sorry. Solstice is June and
It's just
December,
When
not
did we send the clocks back? This week?
next weekend. We actually changed the clocks again. But of that thing of when the solstice is happening, you can take a egg, a regular non-hard-boiled egg, and stand it up, and it will stand. And it was the most magnificent. I was so incredibly excited by this until a week or 2 would go by, and the egg would still be standing, and it was already like a week or a month past the solstice. I'm like, wait, why is this? And then I would take another egg, and eventually that would stand up. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's up with this? So it was
I
still
think it was, yeah.
still thrilling to be able to stand an egg on its end, but it wasn't so magnificent of like only on this one day twice a year can you do this to a egg. But this man can take 4 eggs and stack them on top of each other, which I just find excellent.
It's exciting.
Exciting, and you're not joking, are you? Oh, all white. Have you heard my latest record, Albumin?
Maybe tonight I'll get an egg white omelet then.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Eat
Yeah.
your apple so you have
If you're not being shellfish.
You're not being selfish.
No, shell.
You're
Yeah.
being boiled.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little scrambled at the moment.
I wish you were a little more over easy.
Oh, I was going to go with that one. Darn it. Ah.
At
Oh.
least you're not scrambled.
No, but I will be appearing in Omelet later.
As long as when we go out later, we don't get poached.
Ooh, that's good. That's a good one. I like
It could
that.
happen.
Yeah, you're just cracked. But you know.
You're just deviled. You're deviled.
Yeah, that's because I never get laid. Ba-dum-bum.
Don't be such a chicken.
Oh, that's a foul joke. Anyway, stop it. Stop it now. Let's go back to some Greeley crimes in old times.
We like the dumb humor.
We like the
We like
puns.
the dumb humor.
Here we go.
We
Here's
like the dumb. I have Anya Sorokin's talk now. I talk like her.
and that's a fake accent.
Yes,
that she's doing.
completely.
Yeah.
But she's mixing German and Russian, I think.
Let's do a couple more Greeley crimes in old times. So here's some recent criminality. A man. This is so beyond the. A man on 24th Street believed someone broke into his home after he found a shoe print on a piece of paper on his island.
Oh, island in the kitchen, like a kitchen.
Oh,
island.
okay, yeah. Like what?
You know what I think that means? I think that means that like someone cleaned your house, or the mechanic was there, and they just put the paper up on the floor, and they just put it on the. Maybe he washed his car.
Thank you for explaining that.
I'm guessing. I don't know that if somebody, especially with forensics, so if somebody's going to break in your house, they're not going to leave a paper with the shoe print, which is an indication of who they are, like shoe size.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they're not going to.
Not do that.
And I guess it's no longer an uncharted kitchen aisle with Gilligan and the skipper's shoe. I mean, I don't know where I'm going with that. A caller. We have a caller. Well, I got it. Static. Sorry. A caller on Cranford Place reported hearing screaming, glass breaking, and an air horn coming from an apartment. That is the worst silent prowler ever.
You know what? Everybody parties differently. Who are we to judge?
Wouldn't it be great to be woken every morning by an air horn?
You know, I mean, I gave you that. Oh no, I gave you megaphone.
Megaphone, yeah.
Air horn, no.
Air horn was like,
No.
oh. But you know, sometimes you have to get up early.
Oh no.
Like when I get up. Wouldn't you love to be like me standing over you, honey?
I think I would have probably a heart attack and die.
Oh no, I think I won't do that.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Unless you paid my life insurance, so you can get rid of me.
A woman. Oh no, sorry, I jumped one or two already. Here, a caller. Oh, another caller. How do you like that?
Wait, I need it.
Oh, something. There he is. We gotta get AT&T to test this phone out. A caller on No, we did that one. A caller on 47th Avenue. Sorry, reporting a woman who was running around screaming, "Calling in!" And the man with her was like, "It's almost in." Just kidding there.
What did she want to call in?
They don't always fill these things or finish the stories here.
That's a shame.
Let's go back 100 years ago.
It'd be nice to know what
the
takeaway was.
Yeah. Well, here's, speaking of takeaways, accused of being a booze smuggler,
Oh God.
a Loveland man told Greeley police that he would never do that. Quote, "If you ever find illegal booze in my car, I'll take 6 months in jail without a word." 2 days later, police caught him with 5 quarts of booze in his car.
What do they say? Don't poke the bear, right?
Yeah.
Is that the expression?
Well, when the judge asked him why he was in Greeley, he said he came from Loveland to Greeley to find a place to stay.
To hide his booze.
And the judge says, "Well, now you have a place to stay." And the judge gave him 6 months.
That's mean.
Well, the guy, you're right, he goaded them. He's like, "If you ever find booze in my car,"
And then they gave him the 6-month sentence.
it's like Jeffrey Epstein. If you ever find an underage girl in my massage tape, oh, well, whoops.
Whoops,
Yeah.
That's no bueno.
Yeah. All right, let's do 1 or 2 more, and then we'll move on to the very, to kind of finish the show. Let's do 1 more. A man on 8th Street said someone was stealing items from the church. He thought people were hiding out in the organ area after he found a pair of pants and a condom. Well, all I have to say about that is if you have an organ, you should have a condom on it. And that, my friends, is Greeley Crimes and Old Times for this Saturday, March 5th, 2022.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool.
Oh, he was not.
I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Oh, here in the Daverhood, where it is exactly noon o'clock Eastern Time, as we do the Dave's Gone By 840th episode of the show. Want to give a shout out to the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press. I'm not doing an advertisement. I'm not doing a promotion or anything like sponsorship. So YouTube, keep your pants on. Facebook, keep your pants on. Altice, keep your pants on. And your condom on under your pants. I'm just saying, the Toron family at Hewlett Minuteman Press in Hewlett, Long Island, really great people. I've been dealing with them for a long time for work and copying and printing purposes. You might consider it, or you might not, but you might. Tell them Dave sent you if you do. Okay, so let's move on just before we end the program, because I want to tell you about the guests who are going to come on this program in the next couple of weeks. You're not going to believe it. So, first of all, though, let's talk about guests who have been on this program in months and years past. Because, just like Gary Bohan Jr., who is now a friend of the Daverhood, because he's been on the show. We're going to see how his book does when it goes on sale April 1st. Everybody get a copy of Sharkey. But we've also had other folks in the Daverhood for years and months and weeks in the past. Let's find out about them. Fairly quiet week, though, for our friends of the Daverhood. So let's just tell you about them. Remember that now through this week, and I'm sure it'll be extended, but Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks play their old-time jazz music Mondays and Tuesday nights at Bond 45 over on West 46th Street in Manhattan. Playing now through really almost the end of March, and I'm sure they'll be extended. Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano doing their duets on, and also they sing apart and together, songs from the American Songbook at Birdland on West 44th Street. That is every Saturday night, including tonight at 7 at Birdland. Playing now, through mid-April, Robert Cuccioli is starring in A Touch of the Poet, Eugene O'Neill play being done by the Irish Repertory Theatre. And find out more and get tickets at irishrep.org. Want to let you know that on Thursday, David Bromberg is out on Long Island in a concert at Landmark on Main this coming Thursday night, the 10th of March. Also letting you know that this Thursday and Friday, Leroy Reams, what a wonderful fun guest he was. Leroy Reams is going to be doing his cabaret show at Feinstein's 54 Below. Want to remind you that Ray Bachor is playing Amos in Chicago on Broadway. Aladdin, the Broadway musical, features music by our friend Alan Menken, and I think he's an EGOT. I think he is. Monday nights, Jim Caruso's cast party. Huh? What? And then on that's what we can talk about.
Did you say about Christine Lavin?
Whoa.
April 17th, 2:30 to 4:30, Project Find. Project Find Hamilton. But it's not. It's funded by the New York City Department for Aging. So it's for people living in probably public housing. Songs and Stories with Christine Lavin, Sunday, April 17th, 2:30 to 4:30.
Well, please remind me.
Yeah. You can look at it at, you pre-register at reisenman at projectfind.org.
Reisenman Do it. I mean, beloved Christine Lavin. She's just old friend and very happy to have had her back in the Daverhood quite recently. So yes, that's not happening. That's happening a month from now. But keep tabs on Christine Lavin because she does a lot of concerts in person,
Benefit, I think.
concerts in Zoom. She'll be doing that benefit in mid-April. Check it out. Also, check out Dr. Demento's website, drdemento.com. He's 80 years old, and every week he is still making brand new Dr. Demento shows. Not to mention that for a small fee, you can listen to the shows he has on there from the 1970s and 80s and 90s and thousands and beyond. drdemento.com. Bob Cudmore doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com and soundsofbroadway.com. Very fun website of show tunes. And what's nice is you get on their mailing list, you get a weekly mailer telling you what's on the station, because it's an internet radio station of Broadway shows, Broadway show tunes, soundsofbroadway.com. But there's a little quick quiz you can take that's kind of a theater version of what we do here with our Today Yesterday quiz. More normal trivia though. And also they're even starting a little bitty crossword puzzle too. So it's a lot of fun. Soundsofbroadway.com. And those, my friends.
You didn't acknowledge thumbs up from Esther
Ooh.
and
My Aunt Esther?
and I thought Marie and someone else did, but no, I can't see it. Yeah, a lot of people gave it.
Well, big thumbs up, big shout out to all the people who are watching the show. Thank you so much, and thank you, of course, to all the friends of the Daverhood. So, we've been talking about people who've been on this program in months and years past. Let me tell you the reason that you should keep tuning in every Saturday morning from 9 until noon or thereabouts for new episodes of Dave's Gone By. So coming up, check out three of the, and knock wood, they will work out. But here's the deal. Scheduled for about 2 weeks from now, or maybe 3 weeks from now, we have a film director named Rosemary Reed. Rosemary Reed, and she's done a whole bunch of pretty serious documentaries. As a matter of fact, it's rather appropriate timing to be talking to her because she's done various documentaries about Russia and life there. She did a documentary about the Curie
When did she
family.
do the Russia one?
Not that long ago. I mean, she's been making films for about 20 years now. So over the past, she's done a lot of stuff about radium, and she has a documentary about thalidomide. That she usually these very dark kind of social topics and grim things. But she has a brand new film out about Steve Post, guy I really wasn't familiar with, although I should have been. Steve Post was one of the architects of freeform radio. He was on WNYC for a bunch of years. He was also on WBAI in the very early formative years of WBAI radio. He even ran the station for a little while. So he was a real New York BAI freeform radio character, beloved in radio circles. And so she did a documentary about him, which is going to touch on, I'm sure, his years at NYC and also the insanity of creating WBAI in what was its heyday, so far beyond its heyday. It's rather sad. But back in the day, BAI was a station that fought the government to play George Carlin on the air. It was figuring out a way to do radio that was like not just, hey, all the hits here, ding dong, bing bang, big, here's 2 minutes of a song, and back to the singing commercial. No, it was kind of like a guy sitting down saying, I feel like playing this, and here's why, and here's what happened to me this morning. And then, 20 minutes later, I feel like playing this movement of Bruckner's Symphony No. 8, and that idea that has captivated my life for more than 50 years, right? The idea of what radio could be and should be, and also a political angle to it too, because it was very left, it still is, incredibly left-wing. But all of that, I'm assuming, is captured in this new documentary about Steve Post by Rosemary Reed. You're going to want to tune in to Dave's Gone By when she's on. I believe that will be on in 2 weeks from today. We will also, it is confirmed, so I'm hoping, sometimes when is the Jewish thing of not giving what they call a kanai nahura, but it seems like it's going to work. We are going to have on this program excuse me, a hermit.
A hermit? Oh, one of the hermits.
The hermit.
Who?
Peter Noon.
What?
Herman of Herman's Hermits. That's right. You know, Mrs. You have a lovely daughter, and Dandy, and I'm Henry VIII. I am this that Peter Noon, the singer. Am I am. I got married to the widow next door.
She's been married 7
Times before.
and everybody was a Henry.
Henry
Henry.
didn't have a Willie or a Sam. Well, I'm sure they all had Willies, but anywho. But there you go. Peter Noon. He's going to be on tour, and he's going to be coming to Long Island. So we should have in about 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. Peter Noon of Herman's Hermits is going to be joining the Daverhood in conversation with the one, the only Rabbi Saul. So this Rabbi Saul has talked to rabbis. I don't know if he's talked to priests, but he has talked to someone who plays a nun, Vicky Quaggy. Now Rabbi Saul will actually talk to a hermit, Herman of Herman's Hermit. That'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. And then next Saturday on Dave's Gone By, I'm still shocked that this happened.
What?
But it's real. I can say it because it's pre-taped. I'll be honest about that. But, ladies and gentlemen, one of the absolute architects of, and I've used that word a couple of times today, of current music, rap, and hip hop and funk. Now,
George Clinton.
we couldn't get James Brown because James
George
Brown is
Clinton?
dead.
George Clinton.
The mothership, Dr. Funkenstein himself,
No, really?
George Clinton, on Dave's Gone By next week, talking to Rabbi Saul.
God. I hope he wasn't. I hope they both were not chemically enhanced, because that would be one heck of an interview.
Actually, it's sort of it's a Jewish mothership
I can't
connection.
imagine. It's a Jewish mothership that induces guilt.
There you go.
George, you never call. You never.
George, put down the bop gun. We don't need
left
that.
P-Funk so long ago.
He has the funk. This is the man who gave
How did
us.
the rabbi meet him?
George Clinton is going to be playing on Long Island
That's crazy.
in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks from now. I have to get the dates on that. I apologize for. But in conjunction with that, he chatted with Rabbi Saul Solomon.
Wow.
Meeting of the. I mean, is that like
I can't imagine two more.
Dr.
I
Funkenstein?
can't imagine two more alike, dislike people.
Oh,
I love George Clinton.
well, there you go.
White House.
Black, right? Maggot Brain, one of the great
Yeah.
guitar solos ever. And then what was the other one?
I just
Flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, how did they meet?
Well, first of all, when Rabbi Saul meets anyone, it's kosher meat. So
No,
that's
but
right.
how did they really meet? Like, did Rabbi? How did that work out?
Well, we found out that George Clinton would be playing. I believe it's the Patchogue Theater.
David, I don't want to talk to you because it's 12:15. I didn't
Right.
realize the time.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
no, we're fine on time.
No, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
but
wanna
you were
miss
asking a
your
legitimate
flow.
question, and it's sort of like when we found out he would be playing on Long Island, we made efforts to
Was
contact.
it on Tinder? Was it in like Funkalicious Tinder?
Well, you are one nation under a Dave, and nothing's going to stop us now here on Dave's Gone By. So, yes, tell your friends, tell everyone. Next week, George Clinton, Mr. Parliament, Mr. Funkadelic himself, is going to be on Dave's Gone By talking to Rabbi Saul. Plus, Rosemarie Reed, the director of the documentary about early freeform radio. Plus, Peter Noon. I mean,
is that one episode?
what do you mean?
That's all.
No.
Oh, I was gonna say,
Very
that's
sweet.
crazy.
No, upcoming. I'm parceling
I
this
was gonna
stuff
say,
out.
You can't. I think
Yeah.
that anything with the Parliament Funkadelic needs its own special area. Time to.
So before we end this particular episode of Dave's Gone By, I was reminded I had nothing to talk about this week except Ukraine and all that going on. But in a much happier, I work with an amazing. Well, I love all the people I work with are great in my day job, but one of them is a bit more amazing than the others. He's quite talented. He's not only technically savvy, but he's a good cook. And whenever we're having a potluck lunch this week again, so he's going to bring in some,
Richard?
make some, yeah.
Love the way you cook.
Not going to mention names, but
Oh,
he's
okay. Okay.
and he's been helping Joyce because her computer's a little bit has a hinge broken and he can't fix it, so he's trying to give her some advice on what computer to buy. He's just a really
It's
good
like its mother, it's unhinged.
good guy. But one of the other things that he loves to do, he's into drones, so he'll fly drones and where he
Well,
can.
who isn't? I mean,
He loves hiking,
hiking with drones?
hiking with actually yes, quite honestly,
Okay.
and
Look for
bird
bears.
watching.
And what?
Bird watching.
God bless him.
He's really into bird
When
watching.
I lived in the city, I used to hang out with a bunch of bird watchers in Central Park. We met Isabella Rossellini. She's a big bird watcher.
Oh, that's right. Of course. Yeah,
She
yeah, yeah.
loves bird watching, yeah. Mhm.
So he does this, and he'll take. I sometimes feel bad because he'll spend more time videoing the birds he's looking at than actually looking at the birds. But
that's
listen,
what they do, David.
so he tells us about this, and then yesterday at work, he brings to work a baggie filled with birdseed.
Aw.
And he goes outside because we have a window outside where we work, outside our room in the building. And he plops like a little mound of birdseed on the grass. And he was worried because he's like, well, it's too cold, it's windy, birds don't come if they do this. And first thing, a half hour later, finally a squirrel came. And we're like, oh, well, the squirrel's going to eat all the seed.
They're pretty much.
Squirrel goes away, and suddenly, like, sparrows. Like, little baby, we got a lot of sparrows where we are. And sparrow, sparrow, sparrow. And then
Uh-oh.
a cardinal, a male cardinal, like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Pretty one, yeah.
Yeah, and the cardinals, they like, apparently, the bigger black, the sunflower seeds. The other ones like the millet seed. And then his wife, the female, the sort of
Mrs.
duller
Cardinal?
Mrs. Cardinal showed up.
Good.
And they were eaten. And then one other thing that he didn't identify, there was a couple of different kinds of sparrows. So if you're wondering what I do at work all day,
Got an exciting
well, I
time.
should be moving data and crunching numbers on eSchool or checking things out for New York State reportage. Basically, not half of yesterday, but every few minutes yesterday, I'm just glancing out the window, and it's like, come here, look, the cardinal's back. And then, oh, he's got the wife. The wife's watching. Oh, they just flew away. Oh, because they're a little scared. They see us at the window. They
I'd
go,
be scared too.
and my coworker's there with his camera. He's like, oh, see them. And it was like, oh, that's a different sparrow. And all day with this, all day we're looking out the window, looking at the pile go down. Because really, over the course of a day, of like 7-8
I
hours,
wouldn't put it on the ground. I'd make a bird feeder so the squirrels don't get it.
he says if he has time this weekend,
Yes, I would hope he does.
he's making a bird
He should
feeder.
make a bird feeder. What kind of bird person is he?
Yeah.
Even if I know, listen, me and Isabella Rossellini, we used to see Howard Stern jog, and then
Right.
we used to see Isabella
Rossellini.
We know that you need a feeder.
Yeah, and because there was also I didn't see him eating, but a blue jay came by, so it was.
Aren't they
Yeah.
a sports team?
I'm into this. So if we get a heron or some
We
seagulls,
got herons in the park here, buddy.
I'll have the best job ever.
Oh.
I have a feeling that our custodial people will be like, "Why is that bird shell?"
They're like, you leave the heaters on and you're making little bird mess.
But thank you to my coworker.
Yes. Help me, David.
Thank you so much to I'll get that in a minute or two. So anyway, Joyce opened. Oh, this show sucks. Anyway, it's 20 after 12.
David, that was very funny.
Thank you. Eastern time in the Daverhood. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my darling, wonderful wife, Joyce. You guys are the people watching this program, which was the 840th episode of Dave's Gone By. Next week, 841. I don't even know what we're gonna call. We're gonna like something funk for obvious reasons.
I think it should be defunct for David. David Funk?
Defunk.
DGB Funk?
Yeah.
DGB Funk.
I was thinking of something much more scatological.
Sal Funk?
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing that and just to tell you like how messed up this program is. How I took flack 2 or 3 weeks ago
Oh.
when Rabbi Saul asked Sharon Gless a question about not presume specifically about dieting and losing weight and going to what she called
Oh, she did.
fat camp and things like that.
She did.
But just out of the blue, because he's Rabbi Saul, he asked her, well, do they do the enema thing?
Oh,
And for like a minute or two, they're talking about enemas,
yeah.
which enemas are tremendously important to my creative life. I'll tell that story another time. But not actual enemas, just the idea of them. don't get ideas. And so I get like, oh my God, you're this legendary actress, Sharon Gless. How dare you ask her about
Who is
enemas?
that?
Oh, one of her friends, whoever wrote on
Come on,
Facebook.
she's got such a good sense of humor.
No, good sense of it. Plus, she wrote this book
Yeah,
telling
yeah.
all about her life, all the men she fucked, all the married men she
No,
fucked.
but she mentioned it in the book, so you didn't make it up.
Yeah, but and it's like so you're getting on Rabbi Saul for asking her a question about having enemas when she's pushing this book about laying bare, everything.
I think that a lot of people, when you're a good interviewer,
Mhm.
people tell you stuff and then they deeply regret it.
Oh well.
And I think that's what happens. Like, people say something in the heat of the moment, then they're like, "Oh God, I
Yeah.
shouldn't have."
No, it wasn't even that. I mean, this woman wrote in even like a second after the interview was over. It had nothing to do with Sharon Gless herself,
Oh,
who
wow.
probably didn't even have
Well,
that
you know
problem
what,
at all.
David? Everybody, that's her job, so she's got to
Yeah.
show that she's doing her job.
Right.
You know, it's like if you're getting paid to edit something, you got better edit.
Yeah.
You know, or if you're getting paid to be somebody's press
Sure.
or whatever, you gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta
I can
earn
see
your
some people
job.
who watch Cagney and Lacey and think of Sharon Gless as like this iconic.
I think of
super
her,
heroic actress.
She's a baller. She's a
Yeah,
baller.
yeah.
Like, she comes in that scene and she's not, she's taking no prisoners. She was very empowered as a woman.
Oh,
she,
Absolutely.
in the show.
So to ask her a question about enemas, which would be right up my and the rabbi's alley, pun intended, but now, next week,
Yeah.
Rabbi Saul's going to be talking to a man whose song titles include Shit Scatology Doo Doo Enema Man. There's a song that George Clinton wrote about a political thing about cleansing the world with enemas.
Yeah.
How the worm
Rage
turns.
Against the Machine wrote it. It's called Un-F the World.
Unfuck the world. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
their tribute, I think.
But George Clinton, if you go through some of George Clinton's album titles and song titles, you will find things that would make Sharon Gless blush.
Yeah, but I understand why the woman did it. That's her job. You
Yeah.
know, she's got to show she's doing her job.
But I just love that there's a trail of enemas
No, and
throughout this
some
show.
people have very sensitive sensibilities
Well,
to
yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
You've said things that have made me crazy too. So,
Oh, have I? Me?
I've written-
Moa?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. If I mention enemas, I don't think that should be a pain in the ass for anybody. But
Talk about enemas with my mother all the time. You do.
basically, yeah, I do.
You do.
Because I'm me,
You
Dave
do,
Lefkowitz,
you do.
the host of Dave's Gone By. Write to me, davesgoneby@aol.com. Follow my Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. It's Radio Dave and the number 2. And please check out not only davesgoneby.com, but if you want to read my work. As a matter of fact, I should have posted this on Facebook. What is her name? Oh, Rita Rudner, the wonderful comedian. I wish she were on this program, but instead I interviewed her for Long Island Woman magazine. She's going to be playing on Long Island in like a week or two. So go see Rita Rudner. She is fabulous. She is actually funnier than ever, and more in command of an audience than ever. She's got real seasoned comedian chops now. So I interviewed her. She was a fabulous person to talk to, fabulous interview, and wrote that up for Long Island Woman magazine. And then, get yourself a copy of it. But also, if you just go online and go to davelefkowitz.org, davelefkowitz.org, I have it posted there, and you can read it right there. And it's a wonderful conversation we had. So, yay. Okay, it's 25 after 12. We've got stuff to do. You've got stuff to do. Reminding you, one last time, you've been watching Dave's Gone By. You will tune in and watch Dave's Gone By next Saturday, March 12th, between 9 and noon and thereabouts. Until then, have a great week. It's one more week before we get to turn the clocks back and have a really nice long day. Or, no, spring. We turn them forward. Don't listen to me. Anyway, Septi, any last things about, did you ever get to meet Sharkey in your travels, Septipus? Apparently, Sharkey borrowed $20 from him, and their relationship went downhill from there. Thank you to Gary Bohan. Thank you to Leslie Hoban Blake, David Sheward, also for being part of the show. Thank you to my darling, adorable, and wonderful wife, Joyce, for being with me every day as well as on the show today. Thank you all for telling people about the show, for watching the show, for liking us on our Facebook page. You know, it's always great to get likes and hearts when I post about the program or during the program. Write to me, davesgoneby@aol.com. Oh, and go to shalomdammit.com. That is Rabbi Saul's website, shalomdammit.com. Well, that's about it. It's not yet St. Patrick's Day. Anything happening this week? It's Purim. Happy Purim. We're going to head northwest. As Purim is around the corner. Dress up, do something fun, and we'll see you next week and gone by.
Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by.
Or, as I like to say,
Bad Sharkey.
bye-bye, everybody.